Tremendous atmosphere building here at AAMI Stadium. These teams don't meet again until round 18 on the 4th of August. So 4 months of bragging rights up for grabs, Tony Shaw.
Well, it is, and as I said, it's only been a 10-year history of this rivalry, but it lacks nothing in the way that they compete against each other. And as I said, also just in the city, John, it gives you bragging rights till the next time we play.
Plenty on the line here between the Adelaide Crows and Port Adelaide. Much anticipated matchup. Toss of the coin as we go down to ground level where Rowan Smith and Liam Pickering are soaking up the atmosphere.
Well, soaking up the atmosphere is right, John. It's magnificent down here. Intense dislike between these two teams, not only on the ground but also in the crowd. You can really feel it, and conditions, Smithy, are fantastic.
Yeah, look, there's a slight breeze, obviously, just going to the left-hand side of the screen, maybe 1 to 2 goals, but the crowd just building up. Their voices just starting to spruik a little bit now, and all's ready for a great game, boys.
Rowan Smith will be riding the boundary for us today. Liam Pickering will join Tony Shaw and myself here in the commentary box. Warren Treadray winning the toss, kicking to the northern end or the left-hand side of screen here at AAMI Stadium. And the breeze is coming from the southwest, and as Rowan Smith has told us, 1 to 2 goal advantage for Port Adelaide to start off with. And this monster forward line, Damon White and Treadray there, and to be joined by Brendan Lade, we believe, well, that's going to create some problems for the back line of the Crows.
Well, it is. They've pushed a number of tools in. I think the other issue for the Crows is genuine leg speed. I think Port Adelaide would be a lot quicker, but we know what the Crows did last week to the Western Bulldogs, who have got leg speed. They cut them down, they shut down their ball use around the packs. They won a lot of those contests, and then they were just strong up forward. So, look, this is so evenly matched, you'd be hard-pressed to pick a winner. But I would just think at the moment, I think Port Adelaide are playing and surprising a lot of people in the AFL.
I think you're a good judge, Tony. The bookmakers have the Adelaide Crows as favourites, but it's hard to fault Port Adelaide at the moment. I think they can get across the line and extend their dominance over the Crows. It's 12-9 head-to-head in favour of Port Adelaide at the moment. And as I mentioned, they played 7 weeks ago on the 23rd of February in the round 1 of the NAB Cup. Port Adelaide won by 3 points. Dean Brogan had his nose broken in that match, but Ebert kicked a couple of goals. And a big job for the Adelaide Crows ruckman, Ben Hudson, as we get set to go from AAMI Stadium. Umpire Sean Ryan, approaching 100 AFL games, has the honours as we get underway from AAMI Stadium. Michael Wilson into the thick of the action straight away, and a stalemate. It's going to be fierce in close today.
And it looks like Kane Corns is running with Simon Goodwin, which is a big matchup because Simon Goodwin's just a prolific ball winner.
Take two. Coming in third man, Tyson Edwards. He's had a great record against Port Adelaide in the showdowns. Leading the charge here, Scott Welsh, harassed by Toby Thurston's joining in Corns, but a free kick has been awarded to Port Adelaide. Chad Corns to the centre of the ground. Opportunity now for Brogan.
Got to be 50 metres. Even though Brogan looked like he wanted to give the ball off, he was looking to handball very quickly. I think Port will try and do that to, well, capitalise on that speed factor, but you cannot touch the man after he's marked the ball until the umpire calls play on.
Well, Bernie Vince is playing just his 5th AFL game. He will be a little nervous on such a big stage. The late replacement for Matthew Bode makes the error. Brogan goes to the forward line. Coming out, Damon White couldn't handle it. Here's an opportunity for Treadray. His first touch in 9 months. He wheels around looking for Ebert. He went a little too long. And Nathan Bassett is there to clean up for the Crows.
Oh, play on, and a great tackle by Ebert has forced it behind. So it'll be the first score to Port Adelaide, but gee, strong tackling from Ebert.
Just talking about just hearing the boys in the race when I was downstairs, don't worry about this just being another game. They said this is their big game of the year, one of the players said as they come up the race.
Crows to the outer wing. Here's Bock a long way from the goal square. Looking to make something happen for the Adelaide Crows. Presenting himself now, he finds Scott Welsh, couldn't hold on. Again, it's tough in the clinches. Tom Logan, the late replacement for Daniel Pearce.
He's going to be pinning there.
And wins possession for Port Adelaide.
Well, Bernie Vince gave a 50-metre penalty, and on that occasion he tried to force his way through the pack. Now, if it's held to him well, yes, the umpire will say it's just a ball up, but then they said he did not make any effort to get rid of it.
Jacob Surgeon getting an early touch. Kicked a goal last week With 25 possessions against the Kangaroos. Port Adelaide running in numbers. They look up for Lade. He was tripped. And tangle of feet. No free kick forthcoming. Bassett relieves the pressure. And Adelaide work it out to the outer wing once more. But Tyson Edwards has got plenty on his plate at the moment. Intelligently works the ball further afield. An opportunity now for Thompson. Off and running. Looks up. Lurking is Riley. And he grabs the mark. Wheels around onto the right foot from 60 metres to the goal square. Bock in good position, and so too is Ian Perry.
Well, Bock basically played as the decoy then, used his body and took his opponent out of the way and gave Perry pretty much well, not an uncontested mark, but certainly helped him out. If you just watch Bock here at the back, gets Wakelin out of the way, who would have been the second man up, would have been probably an easy spoil there for Daryl Wakelin, so he's a bit stiff.
Liam Perry played only 8 games last season because of a knee injury. He's kicked goals in the first 2 games of the season. And Perry makes no mistake, the first goal of the game goes to the Adelaide Crows.
Well, Ian Perry, it was good play by Bock because I think he gave him that extra foot of non-contest from the opposition. It just meant he just gave him time to get some space. Good wheel in and get the ball going. Both these sides, I think, are going to play on it all occasions because I think there's a few weaknesses in both defences, I would think. Just having a look, and it looks like Welsh has been picked up by Thurstons, which I think that would be a worry at ground level.
Little over 4 minutes played, term number 1. The Adelaide Crows with the first goal against their arch rivals. Hudson and Brogan at it again. And Hudson goes again. Didn't get a lot of distance with the kick though. And here's Sean Burgoyne wrestling Thompson to the ground. Now the ball
good handball
worked out to the spaces for the Adelaide Crows, and Bock a long way from the goal square again. Floating kick to the danger zone. Port Adelaide with numbers, and Chad Corns is there to clean up. Has options, works it inside to Peter Burgoyne. Cassisi running for him, but that's ignored. Back to Chad Corns. Short, he goes for Treadray. Takes it on the second grab. Loney available with space to work into. Now to the half-forward line, and Blake trying to get a run at it, unable to do so. Cleaning up for the Adelaide Crows. Matner with his hands full. Laid on the boundary line, swings it to the hot spot. Marnie trying to make a contest, but has given away a free kick, and that will be taken by McLeod.
Now, this is one player that Port Adelaide won't allow to just run off half-back. He's so creative, Andrew McLeod, so you would think they'd be really making an effort to make sure that Andrew McLeod just doesn't have the space because he just uses the ball so well.
Brent Riley paid the mark. Had a good start to the game. Here's Tyson Edwards to McLeod running through the centre of the ground. Looks up. Opportunity, and a strong mark taken there by Scott Stevens. Wants to get on with it quickly.
Scott Welsh is on.
Welsh available, and the pass was a good one, and Welsh takes the mark.
That is a bad matchup. Toby Thurstons is going to be too slow, I think, for Welsh. Welsh is very good at ground level. He can take a high mark, and I called him about 5 minutes ago. I can't understand that matchup. Matter of fact, Toby Thurstons has played in a ruck and also as a key forward at times and in key defence. So why would you play him on a very agile, medium-sized forward? See if that lasts.
Well, Scott Welsh has led the goal kicking for the Adelaide Crows on 3 occasions. Kicked 4 last week against the Western Bulldogs, and Scott Welsh, looking at Adelaide's second, has pushed it to the right-hand side. It's a minor score.
Well, his best go, Scotty Welsh, is on the lead. He's very quick. You're right, he's very good at ground level. So you need a speed match-up because he's not a real strong contested marking player.
Chad Corns restarts for Port Adelaide, goes short in the direction of Wakelin. He hugs the boundary line a little further to Toby Thurstons.
And the Burgoyne brothers, Sean has been picked up by Riley and also Peter by Van Berlo.
Big jobs for those midfielders.
Thurstons back to the goal square where Wakelin looks to work it a little wider. Pettigrew, his first touch over the top to Burgoyne with 2 bounces. Peter Burgoyne trying to draw a player. Shut down. Good work from Goodwin. Heavy body work coming across on that occasion from Tawney, not Michael Wilson. Off the ball opportunity here for Bernie Vince. Goes sideways, bringing Tyson Edwards into the play. Adelaide looming again. They go deep to the goal square. Stevens getting back, also getting back. It's Perry to mark. And he will have a shot from just 5 metres now. He's going to retreat. Well, that's a surprise. He's gone all the way back to Brent Riley, who's not really on much of a better angle.
Well, we know he's not a great kicker, Ian Perry, but he is a forward. He would have been on a reasonable angle.
He's a left footer.
He's a left footer. It's the right side for a left footer. He would have been kicking from 15 metres. And look, that's what he's being paid for. He's being paid to kick goals. He's not a convincing kick. Even that goal he just poked through with a bit of a funny look
with his knee.
Well, not quite with the knee, but Riley is a good finisher, but he's going to have to kick this from 45 metres.
Averaged 70 possessions last season, a versatile player. Kicked a goal last week against the Western Bulldogs. Gives it a good ride. It's swinging back on the breeze, and the Adelaide Crows have kicked another.
Well, he knows a bit more than we do, Ian Perry.
You're right, like Ian Perry, and great stuff by Simon Goodwin in the midfield here. See the smother there. Peter Burgoyne just a bit slow to make up his mind. But just, you can see here, now he is 5 metres out, left foot in, and they have to take it from the middle of the goals, and he's kicked the ball back 35 metres. Good finish by Riley, but gee, put him under enormous pressure. I would think, in the old days, he'd think, try and get your name in the paper and kick the goal.
Tremendous start to the match from the Adelaide Crows. A 12-point buffer. We played almost 9 minutes, term number 1. As Hudson and Brogan at it once more. Sean Burgoyne knocking it down. Kane Corns with a hand pass. They try and work it into space for Surgeon. He comes out to the western side of Amy Stadium, where Peter Burgoyne has space to work in. Also has the support of his brother Sean, and that's the direction he goes. He can turn and run. Decides to centre the ball where it's Kane Corns taking a mark close to the ground. Looks beyond his range, wants to go off short. Coming out to meet it, Marnie couldn't hang on. And the defence of the Adelaide Crows standing strong so far.
Certainly is. They're actually putting enormous pressure all over the ground. We saw that with the Simon Goodwin intercept before and tackle, or smother I should say. And even there across the half-forward line for Port Adelaide, there wasn't a hell of a lot of options there.
Lade gets the tap out to Sean Burgoyne onto the left foot. Hasn't got the accuracy and has come up with a minor score.
Kane Corns and Goodwin will be a very interesting matchup in the midfield. Corns got the ability to not only take players out, but also get the footy himself.
Ball to the outer wing with his problem is Rutten. Surrounded by 2 Port players. Logan taken over the boundary line. Let's go down to Rowan Smith on the boundary.
What's been really noticeable at the start of this Adelaide Crows quarter is they're playing exactly the same as the way they played last week. Real pressure in the midfield, getting the ball in long and quick, and that's how they've got their first 2 goals.
Brogan, nice tap, found Wilson. Works into some space, joining in Loney now. Wants the left leg. Sends it to centre half forward, and charging out is the captain, Warren Treadray. Not beyond his range, but decides to go short. Ebert just outside the 50.
Well, just very patient build-up then, but Warren Treadray is starting deep. We know he's a long and long lead into the play coming off halfback. On that occasion, he led up to the centre of the square, and Ebert, he has been a find, hasn't he? The last 2 seasons been very good footballer, left footer, and converts very well.
5 goals, 2 last week. Brett Ebert will kick from 60. And going for the distance, the accuracy has suffered. The ball kept alive here by Brett Burton and Andrew McLeod in tandem, and the Crows off and running. To the outer wing, Welsh getting ahead of Thurston's there. Good pressure from Port Adelaide, but Welsh goes back for seconds. Now Sean Burgoyne.
Great handball.
Brings in Roden. Started on the bench, but has his first touch. Damon White went with a tap looking for Marnie. McLeod gets across to defuse the situation. Tawney's got some problems. Caught in a bear hug. The ball springs free. And now we are going to have a stalemate, and the umpire will move in. A little over 11 minutes played, term number 1. Port Adelaide still looking for their first goal.
I see Jason Tawney there. Gee, he's got a big job, giving away a lot of height to Damon White.
Brogan gets the tap once more, but it's sharked by the Adelaide Crows. Van Berlo at close quarters trying to get Hudson involved. And now Tyson Edwards running out of real estate. And helped that way by Sean Burgoyne.
Just the big bodies around the contest at the moment going Adelaide way, I think. You can see Port Adelaide are trying to break in the space, very similar to what they did the Western Bulldogs last week, Adelaide. Having the best of it at the moment.
Goodwin gets the tap. Not to any great advantage, though. Roden with Burden all over him. And again, a stalemate develops. The Adelaide Crows with just 4 players on their attacking side of the halfway line. So we've got a lot around the ball at the moment. It's very congested.
Well, it's just one-on-one everywhere at the moment, John. Adelaide just not letting any loose players free. It's a brilliant knock.
Scott Thompson off and running. Now they start to break for him. Bok wants it long. He's worked into some space. Scott Thompson, he's going to go from the 50 and unload. Gets it deep and coming back. Chad Corns will escort it over for a minor score.
Could have ran another 20 metres, I thought.
The problem, though, with those ones is that you run and carry it for that far. He carried it from the half-back flank. His legs were probably just that tired by the time he got to the 50.
Chad Corns, his 5th disposal, more than any other Port player. Now it's Wakelet wanting to go with a handball. It's a sweeping one to Kane Corns. In a confined space, intelligent work to get Logan involved. And now Loney looks up. Ebert on the bolt. Got a yard on his opponent there in Martin Matner, but the pass eludes him and it's out of bounds.
Gee, that's a lot of respect, isn't it, for Brett Ebert, that Marty Matner, who plays normally midfield wing and racks up the possessions, he's got the tagging job on Brett Ebert.
Well, it's a good matchup because he's actually got a bit of height and he's got really good pace. It's just a matter of whether they're going to still be able to create the run without Matner in the midfield.
Brogan wrestling there with Rutten. An Adelaide break. Doughty, who started on the bench. Now they have runners. Brett Burton to the outer wing with plenty of space to move in. Decides to go short. And coming up the half-forward line, that's excellent defensive work from Michael Pettigrew of Port Adelaide as he denies Scott Stevens possession. Let's get down to Rowan Smith.
And the Adelaide Crows, they know that they're a little bit depleted in the ruck division, so they've been going 3rd man up. So just watch the 3rd man up when they're charging forward.
Jonathan Griffin playing just his 3rd game is into the action now and getting into the back of his opponent, Brendan Lade.
I think this is off the ball, though. This is a tagging free kick against the tag to Goodwin. Against Corns for holding.
So Goodwin launches them from 80 metres to the hot spot. Pack. Chad Corns couldn't grab the mark off the ground from Scott Welsh, but only a minor score.
So I'm still worried about that matchup, Liam. They've in at ground level. We know it's just going to be too quick for Toby Thurston. And it's not Toby Thurston's fault. I think they've just got to find someone who can just look. He's not that high a strong mark in a pack, so it's on the lead that's going to hurt him.
Well, I would have thought Stevens' matchup would have been better with White, with Thurston's, I should say, and Pettigrew, who has the athletic ability to be able to go with a Welsh. He actually is pretty quick, Michael Pettigrew.
Wakeland will get the hurry up very soon. Tucked in on the boundary, decides to go short. And Dominic Cassisi marks for Port Adelaide.
Just setting up a zone here, the Crows. Not allowing Port Adelaide to create any run off half-back at all at this early stage of the match.
Peter Burgoyne shapes to work it to the advantage of Corns. Goes to Wakeland instead. Here's Nathan Cracker onto the ground. He shakes his opponent, Paul Plecia. Now something good looks looming for Port Adelaide. Caught in 2 minds, Nathan Cracker shut down by Burton. Crows have got the answers so far as they work the ball out of their defensive 50. Bernie Vince, who's seen plenty of it.
That's a quick player's worst nightmare, is to run with the ball, bounce, and it doesn't come back up to you. I never had that problem.
Neither did I, Shorey. I heard that's right, though, what you said. I think it might be right.
Could be a myth.
Michael Doughty takes the mark, works it up now to Chris Knights, who started on the bench for Adelaide. To the left foot he goes. Port Adelaide in the best position here, and it's Michael Pettigrew taking a relieving mark once more. Now they work it to the western side, and Tom Logan brings it up the field. Damon White propped and waited for it. That gave Jonathan Griffin an opportunity. The Port Adelaide with numbers as Logan looks for Marnie. Took one to the back of the head. It goes unwhistled. And certainly Richard Douglas getting away with one there.
Well, it's really noticeable that they're pushing the Crows. As soon as Port Adelaide start to go forward, they really push their numbers through the midfield and just try and clog up any space there is at all for the Port Adelaide forward line to get moving. Adelaide, on the other hand, on the rebound, looks so dangerous when they go forward.
Lade got his hand to the tap ahead of Griffin. Logan at ground level working hard again, but Adelaide will get it out of trouble here. Poor Plecia Works it onwards now to Knights, who goes to centre half forward. Perry wrestling there with Wakeland. Coming in now is Scott Welsh. And intelligent work from Wakeland to Damon White to Thurston's at close quarters. Marnie gets it off quickly. Loney trying to control it, taps it to the advantage of a teammate. Corns with problems, shut down. Excellent work coming on that occasion by Jason Tawney, who has the assistance of Burton if he wants him. Now they get it to McLeod. Generally uses the ball very efficiently, and he has put it right to Scott Stevens, who will take a shot from 35 metres out.
Now, what a big ask of a youngster. Greg Bentley has got the job on Andrew McLeod. Whether a negating half-forward flanker, I just think you need some experience when you're playing against a champion like McLeod. The vision was beautiful there, Liam.
It was great vision. You're right about that. We'll come back to that because very poor defence.
Crows looking at their third goal. Umpire hasn't moved, and they now enjoy a 19-point break.
Well, I talk about slack defence. Now, they had plenty of time, the Port Adelaide players, to pick up their man. They wanted to just zone a little bit. I'm not sure we'll be able to pick it up here. But look at the pressure, though, of the Crows. It's just been sensational. But he stood on his own. He wasn't even leading into that space then, Scott Stevens. He was standing there. So there was plenty of time for a defender to come across and pick him up. The ball stuck out there. It was just a good kick. They were all just looking to do deals with each other, and no one really wanted to go and stand next to their man.
That's what happens when you turn the ball over on the half-back flank. You pay the other end.
Adelaide Crows have made a tremendous start here. 3-3-21. Port Adelaide just 2 behinds. One of those was rushed. We played almost 19 minutes. Term number 1 as the ruckmen go at it once more. Here's Roden. Good hands to Peter Burgoyne, who has an opportunity. Ebert on the charge once more. Couldn't handle the mark, somewhat surprisingly. Now at ground level, has multiple defenders to contend with. Peter Burgoyne getting involved again, but the Adelaide Crows defence has been outstanding so far. Loney keeps it alive for Port Adelaide into the centre of the ground where Brendan Lade is available. Joining in, giving run from the back line, Michael Pettigrew needs to get it off quickly and does. Passed into any favours for Ebert nor Damon White. They try and contain it in their forward 50 at the moment. And a holding the ball decision is going to be made here. Stacks on the mill. Amazed that they could find exactly what was going on underneath all that.
That's a telling stat. Contested possessions, Adelaide 19, Port Adelaide 10. They're just really hunting hard here, the Crows. There's no easy possessions at the moment for Port Adelaide.
Well, let's have a look at this. Gee, that is hard, because Josh Marnie says something about the rule of not being able to take the ball while you're on the ground. Have to keep the ball, tapping it out.
Sure, what's going on here?
Well, he's handed off to Loney, who drove one from there last week against the Kangaroos, but on this occasion he's offline. It's another minor score for Port Adelaide.
He's an amazing player, Nathan Bassett. Just watching him then, he's quicker than what you think. He runs like a crab, but he gets the job done. All-Australian back pocket player last year, matter of fact.
Rutten gets it back and now goes to centre wing. Intelligent kick.
Good kick. Right
onto the chest of Jason Tawney, who only had a metre on Josh Marnie. Pinpoint accuracy, and now they move it into the centre of the ground. Van Berlo has runners available. Now Tawney looks into the centre of the ground. Dangerous looking pass. Bassett and McLeod working hard in tandem. McLeod tackled for a second time. Disposal was a throw according to umpire Ray Chamberlain.
Got to watch it, the Adelaide players here. Give the ball back properly. Well done. A lot of times they kick the ball down the ground to waste time. And the umpires don't fall for it.
There is just a wave of numbers pushing back here into Port Adelaide's forward line. You talk about a flood. This is a super flood. There's one player behind the kicker at the moment. The rest of the Adelaide players are just setting up zones. So they're going to have to go from one side or the other to try and create some space here, Port Adelaide.
Wakeland got it from Greg Bentley.
They'll come back again. They'll come back again until they can find 2 players free.
Well, there is nothing forward on, and that's why this will be frustrating supporters. But you know, credit to the players. They just need to be smart here with the use of the footy.
Chad Corns has Lade available and roosted a long way. One from 70 against Fremantle in round 1. Goes with a drop punt. Ebert and Treadray in the vicinity.
Well done, Matner.
Good defensive work again from Matner. And look at the numbers the Crows get back there. Scott Thompson helping out. Here's Knights handing off, finding a runner. And Hudson is the target in the centre of the ground. Big pack forms. Wakeland gets the ball out wide. Here's Tom Logan working it to Nathan Cracker. just beyond his range.
Still nothing on.
Loney's on in the pocket, and he's a left footer. If he can play on, he can kick from that distance.
Wants to run around.
Here
Brett
it is.
Burton on the mark. Loney from the 50 unloads and has pulled it to the near side. It's another minor score for Port Adelaide.
He's a dangerous player. Anytime he gets some space, you know, if they're going to get a free kick outside 50, just look for Loney to be on the end of it with a handball.
Chris Knights.
It's just running a bit harder at the moment, the Crows.
Oh, they're beating him, no doubt, around the packs. Their bigger bodies have been harder.
Brent Riley with the mark, works it up the field. Stevens inboard with Burton.
Oof.
Pass wasn't a good one. Chad Corns is there to clean up for Port Adelaide. And now Brendan Lade.
Up to 7 possessions, Chad Corns. I don't reckon Neil Craig will allow him to just play his own game. He's such a damaging player, Chad Corns. He's a real general down there. I reckon you'll find before long they'll have a defensive player looking to just go with him at all times.
Every one of them's been pretty short possession too.
Yeah, he's the one they want to get free all the time, Port Adelaide.
More than 23 minutes played, term number 1. It's been heavy going for Port Adelaide at the moment as Greg Bentley retreats again to Toby Thurstons. Corns presents himself. And Thurstons is keen to go a little more direct, and in the centre of the ground he finds an option. Salopek to Chad Corns. Now the overlap is on as they get the ball out a little wider, and Corns involved with Wakelin again. Looks up. Target Treadray wrestling with Rutten, who's had the better of the duel so far. The ball trickles to the back of the pack, and Nathan Bassett, under no pressure, decides to keep it alive.
It's looking smart here when they use the ball, the Crows. They've got Chad Corns in the hole.
Nice work from David Roden supplying the pressure there on Martin Matner after Knights had delivered the handball.
Just a 3 possessions to Sean Burgoyne. Riley doing a good job. He's had 7.
Right.
Here's an opportunity for Sean Burgoyne as he races in, but he too is off the mark, and Port Adelaide now have 5 behinds on the board. Well, they kicked 1 goal 9 against the Crows.
Look at that
in the
ruck work.
pre-season match 7 weeks ago, and they'd like to have that one again, Sean Burgoyne.
Isn't that beautiful ruck work? Because normally you allow a space over the back. There was 3 Adelaide Crows players there, and he still got through the congestion.
Right player to have it in his hands too. Just a disappointing finish from Sean Burgoyne. Brilliant knock that.
Knights hands over. Here's an opportunity for Port Adelaide.
This is better from Port. They're actually now making the Crows think a little bit about their rebound. It's okay to have all the numbers down. Now where are the Crows going to generate their run from?
Switchback.
Matner exchanging passes here at the moment. Now Matner moves forward looking for support, hounded by a couple of Port Adelaide players. Back to Bassett. They're still tucked in the back pocket.
Now, this is frustrating for supporters, but what they've got to know is up the ground, they haven't got space. So what they do, they keep switching the play to shift all the players from side to side to open up a gap. And they might do this 6 times. As we see now, they've had, you call it wasted possessions. They have not moved. I think they've moved 10 yards in about 7 possessions. Now they switch again, and it could be a dangerous kick.
McLeod looking for good when he's under pressure, but takes a strong mark against Brett Ebert.
You're right, Shorey. It is frustrating for supporters. They're milking the clock now with only 30 seconds till quarter time.
But it's great to see the discipline. Now, look, they're all booing, but this is how teams are drilled. And to be disciplined to do this when you can hear the fans booing and you want to get on with the game, you've got to be disciplined. And there it is, a turnover.
Loney with an opportunity goes to Sean Burgoyne. Dances around a couple of defenders. Snaps with the right foot. He's off target again. And Port Adelaide have come up with 6 minor scores. Adelaide 3 goals 3.
A football purist would want to see a goal come out of that, because you know people sitting in they deserve that. That's what they'd be yelling out. But you know what they're trying to do, and they've done it. It's that quarter time. There's a quarter time siren. They probably were told what the clock was running down, but what an amazing quarter of football. They dominated the last 5 minutes, Port Adelaide, but prior to that, Adelaide just were sensational. Too tough around the contest, John.
Very impressive start to the match from the Adelaide Crows. 3 goals, 3-21. Port Adelaide, their first ever scoreless first quarter in a showdown against Adelaide. Mark Williams has plenty on his plate, and we'll have more for you right after this. Set to go, term number 2. Adelaide with a 15-point lead against their crosstown rivals, and Hudson climbs high over Brogan, but it's Sean Burgoyne who'll get first use of the ball. He looks up. Brendan Lade on the charge against the undersized Nathan Bassett. Keeps it alive. Plenty of pressure supplied, and it spills to McLeod, who relieves the ball now. Get Riley involved. Zigzagging one way then the other against Brogan. Works it inside where he finds Nathan Van Berlo. McLeod off and running. Goes beyond Welsh. Into the forward pocket, trying to keep it alive is Scott Stevens, harassed by Michael Pettigrew over the line.
I'm really worried about that matchup. Greg Bentley on McLeod. He's trying to drag him deep, and McLeod's just playing 20 metres in front of him. The Port Adelaide side has to use Bentley up so he can kick a goal on McLeod to stop him running.
Brogan getting to the front again, but excellent work from Hudson for the Adelaide Crows. We'll have a stalemate, and coming in, umpire Matthew Head.
What do you think, Liam, about that? Who do you put on him? You've got to get someone who I think who's dangerous, can kick a goal.
Yeah, it would have to be somebody certainly that can run as well, because you've still got to be able to cover the ground with Andrew McLeod. See if I can find one for you, Shorey.
Peter Burgoyne to Sean Burgoyne. Now Cassisi at close quarters. Plenty of defensive pressure being supplied by the Crows. Port Adelaide work it out to Salopek. Now
this is better.
Peter Burgoyne off and running with a bounce, trying to draw a player. Looping hand pass. Bounce important for Toby Thurstons. Inside his range, but it skews off the boot, and it's marked on the last line by Nathan Bassett.
Well, it was a long way to drop the ball down, wasn't it? He had to keep running, have a bounce, get to about 45. Outside 50, the percentages are 10 to 15% you'll convert.
Well, he could have steadied. Just needed to steady a little bit more, maybe a bit more torque. I mean, he had plenty of time. But already it's noticeable early in this quarter that Port Adelaide seemed to be a bit more up and about around the contest, putting a bit more pressure on Adelaide than they did at the start of the game.
Lade to do the rucking duties here against Ben Hudson, who's going to be kept busy all afternoon. Cassisi looming dangerously to Peter Burgoyne onto the right foot. He's snatched at it a little as well and has scored Port Adelaide's 7th minor score.
The last 3 points Port Adelaide have been 2 to Sean Burgoyne and 1 to Peter Burgoyne. Very rarely the boys miss. They're very deadly around the goal. So it's a let-off for Adelaide.
Who's dangerous too? Brendan Lade and the ruck work in the forward line.
Nice work from Michael Wilson. Dislodges the pass intended for Brent Riley. Has support from Peter Burgoyne. Ebert. Pass not a good one. Has to be strong and held on very well under pressure.
He's a very smart player. I think you'll see the body language whether he's going to take it on himself.
Sean Burgoyne available and takes it close to the ground.
He's a smart player, Brett Ebert. Very much like his father, who was one of the greats of South Australian football.
Hall of Famer in the AFL. 4-time Magarey medalist. This is Sean Burgoyne.
Just starting to get a bit more of the footy here, Sean Burgoyne.
Kicks it a long way.
And Port Adelaide looking for their first goal of the match. Burgoyne fires from 65, and it just fades to the near side, and it's another minor score.
Peter Burgoyne off for a spell. Just getting a bit busy here, the Burgoyne boys.
Bassett goes short to Andrew McLeod. On for him now, Richard Douglas. Hands over to Tyson Edwards. Burton takes a strong mark. Good hands. Decides to go across the field. They're queuing up in the middle for the Adelaide Crows.
They can use Matner here.
Thompson will go in that direction.
Should take on Lade. He'd be a lot quicker than Lade.
You'd reckon.
Coming back to Bassett though. Now he's looking for a Shepherd. Ran a long way and then went very short to Hudson. Opportunity here for Riley, who bangs it to the goal square. Coming out, Imperial Welsh takes a strong mark.
That's that matchup you're talking about, Shorey, but what a good kick by Brent Riley. It really was. I mean, he deliberately went longer then, and there was no thinking about what he was going to do. He put the foot down in the middle of the ground and kicked it 55 metres, and Scotty Welsh had made a pretty good lead, but you still got to have the length on your kick, and that was just a great kick.
I'm trying to see whether they still have got the same matchup, and I think maybe Corns has gone to him. We'll just have to wait and see after this kick.
4 goals last week against the Western Bulldogs. Welsh drills the middle, and the Adelaide Crows extend their advantage.
Looming as a pretty dangerous player already, Scotty Welsh. He's just so quick, but
this is good play. You know what happens here? I know he didn't kick the ball, but he ran with the ball, which makes it hard for your defenders to get back. They cover the ground more. This is a long kick.
That's a good give too by Big Hudson. And that's what you can do with Chad Corns. He will allow you a chance to get away from him, but you've just got to hit his man up because, as I say, on the rebound, Chad Corns is a star. We know that.
Pressure starting to mount on Port Adelaide as Dean Brogan and Ben Hudson get set to go at it again. A little more than 5 minutes played. Term number 1 in the showdown. And the Adelaide Crows with all the answers at the moment. Tyson Edwards goes without it. Van Berlo getting involved. We've got a ruck around the ball.
We might have been a bit harsh on Chad Corns because it is Toby Thurston's. He was out of the picture. That shows how hard he is finding it to keep up with Welsh.
Yeah, you're right. We were a bit tough on poor old Chad. I was. Sorry, Chad. He's got Scott Stevens as his matchup.
Wilson bringing the ball out of the centre for Port Adelaide. Opportunity here for Bentley. Wheels around onto the left foot, but McLeod's second effort was a gem. Good pressure again from Adelaide's defensive operators. Richard Douglas escorts it across the line.
I think Chad Corns might have a Liam Pickering voodoo doll by the end of the day.
You'll be right.
Let's get down to Rowan Smith at ground level.
The difference between the two sides at the moment is when Adelaide goes forward, they're actually getting it over the guys that are sitting free inside their defensive 50. When Port Adelaide go forward, they're just not picking the right options and they're just going too wide.
And the ball decision.
Spot on too, Smithy. But 17-10 inside 50s in favour of Port Adelaide. They're yet to kick a goal.
Yeah, that's right. They're just not picking their options properly, and they're just going too wide.
They've got a free kick and a shot at goal here.
And Sean Burgoyne's kicked 4 points so far in the match.
He's getting his radar right as we speak. I reckon he'll nail this. Probably the hardest of all his kicks. He's the sort of player that will probably put this one through. And they badly need a goal. For all that effort to get into the 50, they just haven't got a goal on the board.
Kicked 2 goals last week against the Kangaroos. Sean Burgoyne trying to ice Port Adelaide's first goal. And from a difficult angle, he gets the job done.
Well, it's a pro-Adelaide crowd, Port Adelaide crowd here today. You can see all the teal or the blue or whatever you want to say. Sean Burgoyne has got really busy in the last sort of half of the first quarter and the start of the second quarter. He's been terrific. It's a great tackle. And, well, you can always it kicks the hard ones, these sort of players.
He is a sensational player. As I said in the match preview, I would think the Burgoynes would be at their best in the top 10 best midfielders in the competition. Pettigrew now has gone to Welsh. You picked that earlier, Liam.
Almost 8 minutes completed here. Term number 2. Port Adelaide get their first goal after 8 consecutive points, trailed by 13. As Dean Brogan and Ben Hudson square off once more. Brogan looking for Roden, who's working hard against multiple opposition at the moment.
They've got it from there. They've got most of their shots at goal from midfielders, though, Port Adelaide. Their forward line, the structure just isn't working at the moment. Treadray back into the lineup. They've kicked 17 and 19 goals the last 2 weeks, but it is not working at the moment. Good work from Ben Hudson, down on all fours with a second effort. Roden gets it to Surgeon. Didn't do him any favours, though. Riley. Again, we have a stalemate. Not much option here for the umpires other than to bounce down. Let's get to Rowan down on the boundary line.
Port Adelaide's forward line at the moment has just gone a little bit smaller, a little bit more mobile. Warren Treadray is the only tall up in their forward line at the moment, so just get a little bit more speed and a little bit more mobility.
Crows looming again, and that's a good run at full tilt to pick up that mark from Nathan Bock. Off and running, Perry on the lead. Excellent kick. Perry butted Welsh. Bernie Vince got in the way. Get out of the way, son.
He just had his head in the way of his face then. That was a great kick. Under a bit of pressure too. Bock it was. Working hard, Bock. Not getting a lot of possessions at the moment. That is a really good kick. Helps if you get on your bike straight away when you take a mark.
Let's see how he kicks a goal here. Not a lot of confidence early in the first quarter.
One to his credit already. Ian Perry gets one floating towards the goals, and he now has 2, and Adelaide hit back.
That was the best ugly kick I've seen, Shorey, for a long time.
I was going to say from John, that was an understatement. Floating towards goal. It was an ugly helicopter over the top. I don't know what you want to call it. But you're right about Bock. He worked so hard in the space. There is a trend in this game that's standing out at the moment. 5 goals to Adelaide, all from marks. So, like I said, either the pressure's not good enough from the Port Adelaide side in midfield, or their forward structure's working a lot better than Port Adelaide's. Their only goal is from a free kick.
Ian Perry with 2 goals for the Adelaide Crows. Margin back to a game high 19 points. Little over 10 minutes played, term number 2. Cassisi dancing around a couple of defenders. Roden, smallest man in the AFL, needs to be quick, just gets it off in time. They go to the goal front. Treadray couldn't get there. Ebert with support from Cracker close to the line, in fact running out of real estate, and we'll have a throw in.
Look at that stat, Shorey.
Yeah, but that's that trend. I tell you what, then Warren Treadray and Ebert, they have ran into each other 3 times in the first 2 quarters. It's not working at the moment. Maybe split them up, those 2.
Marnie getting a quick boot to it, but Tyson Edwards there to clean up for the Crows. Needed 2 bites at it. Bassett to McLeod with a slow hand pass. He works the boundary line. Beautiful. And strong mark taken there by Bernie Vince.
Yeah, it was a good mark and a good kick, but he was asleep then, Jacob Surgeon. He shouldn't have allowed him that space.
McLeod, this time with a left foot. Perry again on a long lead, getting some distance between he and his opponent, Toby Thurstons. Now works onto the left foot, driving it long. 3 targets for Adelaide. Coming in over the top was Stevens. He couldn't pull down the marker. Now an opportunity for Port Adelaide to break.
They can get it to here, but unfortunately there's nothing really on long at the moment. They can go inside with the handball. It's probably the better option.
Bentley does that. And now it's Salopek looking for a forward.
Not a good kick.
Marnie, can he keep it alive? An opportunity now. Good second effort coming from Matner. Now Port Adelaide have to work hard. Kane Corns did it well with Salopek. Decides to go solo. Has the accuracy. Did he get the distance? It's touched on the line.
I think his teammate touched it. Was it Nathan Cracker?
It was. He's a bit frustrated.
Well, Adelaide get the ball moving quickly, but an error from Griffin has presented some problems. Here's Goodwin. Dances out of trouble, but then gave it up to Peter Burgoyne. Didn't go 15, had to play onto his brother Sean. Cracker has 3 to beat. Intelligent work from Bassett. Oh, the Crows are playing with Port Adelaide at the moment. Some confusion on that occasion, though, between Rutten and Tawney.
Gee, they needed that goal from Kane Corns. They just wanted Nathan Cracker. We can see him go for the fly. Here's the last one. He is too. He had to mark the ball, because if he didn't, it would have been in the back.
Brogan, first hand of the ball once more, but indecisively. And the ball is somewhere down there amongst all those bodies, and coming in is umpire Sean Ryan.
I've got that match up for Andrew McLeod. Dominic Cassisi likes to kick a goal and one of the best negating players in the competition, but still loves to kick a goal. Can get dangerous.
Brogan with the tap. Shark by Goodwin, who's tackled immediately by Kane Corns. Ball spills out. Marnie knocks it forward for Port Adelaide, but the Crows with the numbers as Rutten gets back to relieve the pressure. Bassett sinks it long. Numbers favour Port Adelaide. Salopek will take the mark. Port Adelaide trying to get Laid, White and Michael Wilson back into the action quickly, and again the Crows push numbers back.
It's breaking down.
Well, this game suits Adelaide. If this game continues to play like this for the rest of the game and Port Adelaide can't generate any run, you wouldn't think they would have the ability to be able to beat the Crows at this sort of game. If it becomes a running game where their runners are involved, well, Port Adelaide will be right back in it. But at the moment, to the Adelaide Crows' credit, they're just not allowing them to run.
Very similar to what they did against the Western Bulldogs last week. Here's Marnie getting pressured by Chris Knights.
That's exactly what it's like, John. Good pickup. Around the contest, they're beating them, and then they've just got numbers back to stop them using their speed to get in the space in their forward line.
The All-Australian ruckman Brendan Laid up against the third gamer, Jonathan Griffin. Roden. Advantage will be played here to Marnie, who lights it up, but is kicked to the near side.
When you want that back. Josh Marnie, he's been a great player, Josh Marnie. Been to a number of clubs. Collingwood, I coached him at Collingwood, matter of fact, and sacked him, so I was a good judge.
Led Port Adelaide's goal kicking last year, Shorey.
And ended up being a premiership player. That does happen, John, you know that.
Perry's on long.
Stevens to Bassett. Tyson Edwards sold into trouble. Nice tackle from Roden, but Adelaide with the numbers. Bassett cleans up. Pass for Bock. Pettigrew there, right with him. Excellent tackle. That's good defensive work by Michael Pettigrew.
I'm just in defence of myself. I didn't make the decision by myself, John. I might blame the assistants for that, will you?
Yeah, I would have thought so.
That's what they're there for.
Just pass the blame over to them, surely.
Yeah. Delegate.
Well, they all want to take the credit.
Yeah, exactly.
Lade with the tap, but not to the advantage of Port Adelaide. The Crows working it through sets of hands. Riley onto the right foot, in the pocket, dangerously to Bock, who grabs a strong mark this time in advance of Michael Pettigrew.
His work rate is terrific at the moment. Bock, I mean, he's just a player that just continually presents. Hasn't had a huge game in terms of statistics. Only had the 3 touches, but he's created a couple of goals with his presence and his run.
I just wonder, Chad Corns, he gets liberties, doesn't he, as a good defender, but he doesn't help other defenders out very often because he zones off that much. He's trying to help him, but at times you've got to be on the back of a forward to make sure that you pressure him enough. Maybe he's a bloke to go to Bock and Pettigrew to Walsh. They're just going to throw things around at the moment.
Bock with 7 goals leads Adelaide's goal kicking at the moment. He's looking at number 8, and the tight angle doesn't bother him at all as he extends the Adelaide Crows lead. It's out to 23 points.
Wow, that is a big lead. Gee, I thought Port Adelaide started the quarter very well, and Liam Pickering picked it up. But again, it's just the strong bodies. Their clearance work has been sensational. And what they do, because they've got numbers behind the ball, they keep feeding it back until they can find space for it. This is a strong mark. Pettigrew was right on his back, but Bock been in fantastic form this season. Great conversion for that's a non-preferred side for a right footer.
Adelaide Crows running amok here at the moment. Although they've had less scoring shots, they have a 23-point lead. It's the biggest we've seen in the match so far as Lade climbs high, but indecisively. And again, it's the Adelaide Crows working it out of the centre square. Bock again looking dangerous. Couldn't take the mark, but now Wills onto the right foot. 2 Port Adelaide defenders getting back, and Chad Corns takes a relieving mark and is quickly off in the direction of Stephen Salopek.
Like a new surgeon here on the wing.
Yeah. Not a lot on offer beyond that, as now they try and get it to Damon White, who charged a 50-metre lead there to provide an option.
This is where they break down. They have to get a quick handball to keep running the lines, or they just hold up now and have to play patient football. Don't kick enough goals quickly enough doing this style of play, though.
Chad Corns in trouble. Trying to work it back to Kane Corns. He has his hands full as well. Good defensive pressure from the Adelaide Crows once more. And Scott Stevens doing a great job.
I'm just waiting for the umpire to pay holding the ball then. Luckily he did it, because that was just great pressure. See there, he looked up, had no one to kick to. That was a hesitation, trying to come back inboard.
Tyson Edwards, body slammed by David Roden. Ball comes out, and coming in over the top there dangerously, Kane Corns.
Shit. If you're looking purely at the numbers at the moment, you'd think Port Adelaide were winning.
Yeah.
But more inside 50s. I mean, it's just the use of the Adelaide Crows. It's just been so good this afternoon. They've been terrific in that area. And both sides put enormous pressure on now around the contest.
Tyson Edwards couldn't pick it up cleanly under pressure from David Roden. That looked like a throw when unwhistled. McLeod takes the short kick from Loney. At close quarters, getting Matner involved. Now getting it back.
Terrific Shepherd.
Beautiful.
Burton looming, goes high, but unsuccessfully. Pettigrew needs help. And Port Adelaide diffuse the situation through Dominic Cassisi. There's a wrestle on behind play, and coming off second best was Jacob Surgeon.
Free kick down the ground. The umpire behind play saw it. I think it was Goodwin, who's getting a bit frustrated with the heavy tag. Shouldn't get frustrated. They're ahead on the scoreboard.
Yeah, go long to Ebert here.
That's the direction. Brett Ebert, the danger man, has 2 to beat, and swinging across to take a relieving mark is Martin Matner.
Well, Matner's not on Ebert at the moment. There's a free kick into Ebert.
Is there about?
Oh, I don't know about this.
No, we're going to go back.
It's going to be a free kick to Ebert.
It's against Bassett. The umpire pointed that his arm was over his shoulder.
Let's have a little look.
Oh, this will tell us. Yeah, well, there it is. You cannot do that. So good pick up by the umpire.
It was.
That was against the flow. One thing about inside 50s, I know they're a great indicator, but sometimes they can be misleading. That even 2 metres inside the 50 is an inside 50, which means you can have 8 of them, but you still won't convert.
Brett Ebert, 5 goals last week from close range, makes the goal on by a scurry to his left, but it's a 6-pointer for Port Adelaide.
Great finish. Obviously, you'd expect a player like Ebert to be able to knock that through pretty easily, but probably a bit disappointing by Adelaide. They had 3 numbers back on little Ebert, and in the end, it was just a little bit a lack of concentration there by Nathan Bassett. With Treadway off the ground, Ebert's new opponent is Bassett.
I like that.
I think Ebert would like that.
Yes, exactly.
I think he'd have more trouble with Matner because of Matner's speed, but they've really cleared out the forward line here. Port Adelaide trying to use Ebert.
Port Adelaide get their second goal. Adelaide have added 3 to their quarter-time tally. It's a 17-point lead for the Crows. Little over 20 minutes played, term number 2 from Amy Stadium. Laid, excellent palming of the ball to Peter Burgoyne, and now he goes with a torpedo punt to the wide-open spaces of the half-forward line. Brett Ebert, first man there, has multiple defenders working against him. And taking one high, Jason Tawney will get the free kick.
It's one of the great things of our game that ruckman can still play the game and show that art of palming the ball. It's been right through the history of the game. It's been a highlight, and we've seen great players from my point of view. Len Thompson, John Nichols, all those types are going back a fair way. But gee, Brendan Lade, he would have to go down in history as one of the best, no doubt.
Well, they've got the double teaming combination of Brogan and Lade works beautifully at the moment. And they're up against, look, Hudson back from injury and then young fella Griffin, who hasn't played a lot of footy.
Right. They should dominate.
They should win this game as far as the hit-outs and be able to be a bit creative there.
Hit out 17 to 12 Port Adelaide's way at the moment. But Damon White's got plenty on his plate. Retreats to Cassisi, who goes quickly to Surgeon. Over the top, he was looking for Bentley, knocked down by McLeod. The mercurial Andrew McLeod has played in 20 of the 21 showdowns so far. Looks for Burton, who takes the mark close to the ground. Wants to play on. Handballs now to Griffin. Or in fact, it's Thompson firing the ball to the goal square.
It's hot.
Kane Corns to Wakeland. Needs to be good here. Found David Roden with an intelligent kick.
He needs to take on Hudson.
Roden against Hudson. Shepherd. And now Roden works it with Marnie. Goes back for more.
Ebert's one out here. They should go long to the square.
Bentley to Ebert. Excellent defensive work from Bassett.
Well done.
And the ball trickles over the line.
Now, David Roden's coming from the ground, but you've got to give him credit there. He took them on, trying to run lines, trying to suck the player to him so he can give the ball over the top and get through the line, because they are falling down at centre half forward. It is just numbers by the Adelaide Crows behind the ball at the moment. It's amazing. You play pretty well for one stanza of play and you go to the bench.
It's the modern game, Tony.
I know it is. I know.
Rotations.
Yeah.
Cracker to Lade. Adelaide with numbers around the ball. Paul Plisha getting involved. Here's Michael Wilson.
The footer.
Has plenty of options available. It's a high kick, and they'll have to sit under and wait. Surgeon to Salopek. He decides to go short. It wasn't going to be 15. It's play on. Unaware of that, Van Berlo slung to the ground. Opportunity now for Surgeon. In traffic. Needs help. And there's Warren Treadway trying to
he's going to pin
win a free kick. It's holding the ball.
Just stiff.
You just worry about players going and get the ball. Let's just hope they don't think that Andrew McLeod needs a rotation rest, Leon.
Well, he's up to 16 possessions. It's a poor kick by Treadway. Well, he didn't have a lot on. He was too far out to take a shot, really. It was out of his range, but it wasn't a great option.
And there's the free kick. Started up rather high.
Yeah, I don't know. You put your leg on someone's head, you squash him into the ground, and that's holding the ball.
The only thing he didn't have was a saddle.
Adelaide break. Tawney looks up.
Burton.
Going deep. Burton at the back of Michael Pettigrew. Gets the sit. Drags down the mark. Wants to play on the Birdman. Needs support and unselfishly gives it up, where Scott Stevens marches in and kicks his second goal of the game.
That would be really frustrating, Port Adelaide, at the moment. I mean, the turnover from Treadray, we know he's a champion, but he turned it over in their forward line. Look how quickly they rebounded Adelaide with precision passing, really. And then Tawney one was a good kick. He was one out here against a young player in Pettigrew. And he's always thinking, Brett Burton, he's always trying to play on at every opportunity. And that's a good team goal. And that hurts Port Adelaide.
Brett Burton handing over to Scott Stevens for the finishing touches, and the Adelaide Crows enjoy a 23-point lead once more. 25 and a bit minutes played, term number 2. 4 goals to 2 in this second term so far. Laid again, looking for Sean Burgoyne. Couldn't reel it in, poor Pleasure. Bangs Adelaide forward again, and a strong mark coming across has been taken by Tom Logan, who came in as the replacement for Daniel Pearce, who was a late withdrawal for Port Adelaide. Surgeon available. Has Logan running into space. This has been good work. With the left foot down to the pocket, Damon White with 2 to beat. Passes a little deep and over the line.
Can I say I worked at the MCG last night? There's a little bit of deja vu here because Richmond totally dominated the first half of play and we're only 22 points up. Adelaide 23 points up with a dominance like this in the first half.
Let's get the Rowan Smith boundary line.
Port Adelaide have just finally recognised that Andrew McLeod is killing them, and they've moved Stephen Salopek onto him to just play a defensive forward role.
And McLeod relieves the pressure once more.
The overlap here.
Numbers with the Adelaide Crows. Oh, that's a very strong mark coming from Nathan Bock.
Their foot skill's been the other one too. Adelaide, when they come forward, their foot skill has been a lot better than Port Adelaide. They do this well. They just link from the centre corridor in deep to the boundary line, keep control.
Douglas run down, gets the ball to the hot spot. The Port Adelaide, through the agency of Kane Corns, take a relieving mark, and they have numbers on the outer wing where Damon White is operating. Has the run from Chad Corns, who shakes Paul Pleasure. Trying to get Warren Treadray involved. That's not out on the full. Brett Rutten has a tremendous record against Warren Treadray, and he's doing the job again today. Treadray with just the 4 possessions so far.
Been at a lot footy a long time, Warren Treadray. He'd be better for the run after this game, I would have thought.
Excellent work coming there from Thompson as he sharked the tap. He wants support from a teammate. It wasn't forthcoming. Burton.
Did that well, Brett Burton then. Went one way, went the other, got behind Pettigrew and just found a little bit of space and just timed his lead beautifully where he created some space. Just as he looks up here, he went, looked for the shepherd, and bang. That was actually a really good play by Burton. It was also a good kick because he kicked it to where he wanted Burton to lead, really.
Just another clearance. They won 2 easily. One player just running towards goal.
Brett Burton, who led the Crows goal kicking in 2002, kicked 2 against the Bombers in round 1 before missing last week with injury. He jags another, his first of the match, and the Adelaide Crows have a game-high 29-point lead as we head toward half-time.
It was amazing when Brett Burton was unselfish and handball to Welsh. That was the first time, sorry, Stevens, that was the first time they kicked the goal, other than marks in their forward 50. You just wonder how a player can get forward of a contest like that, run in 30 metres forward and then kick to a man who had no other player in front of him in the forward 50. That means maybe the Port Adelaide concentration is not good enough around the contest, and that's where they have been belted in the first half.
Worrying signs for Port Adelaide. They trail by 29 points. They were down by 15 at quarter time, and the onslaught has continued from the Adelaide Crows in showdown 22. Hudson gets his hand to the ball, but Wilson is there to take it away for Port Adelaide, and Roden grabs the mark. Little over 1 minute out from half-time. The Power desperately need a score. Kane Corns takes them on, goes quickly. Treadray with a one-handed mark. Vintage work from the Port Adelaide captain, and that's not a good sign as Dean Brogan is assisted from the ground.
Great mark, contested mark. First one inside 50 for the Port Power. Contested situation. It's why you're these champions. You just get them. We've got to have them on the ground, sure. I know that you reckon he needs a bit of work.
And the captain makes no mistake, a much-needed goal. The first for Warren Treadray in 9 months, but Adelaide still holds sway.
That is a shocking sign. Dean Brogan, we just talked about the tandem that he does, the double act with Brendan Lade. And so let's hope that it's not too bad. Just went down behind play. I'm not sure what happened. It looked like he just tripped over or twisted his knee or something, but it doesn't look too good down there. Smithy will be all over that. But that was a great mark by Warren Treadray. Just really wasn't. It was a badly needed goal with only a minute or so till half time.
I agree. I got no worries about him being out in the ground, but you wouldn't think he'd see the whole match out with his lack of preparation. The other thing too is that they've kicked 3 goals to half time when they've kicked 17 and 19. That forward line has not functioned well. It's not Warren Treadray's fault, but other players around him, and they just haven't worked together well to make space. They've probably got their best set up now. They've only got 3 players nearly forward of the backward part of the square.
Umpire Sean Ryan does the honours. Brendan Lade gets the tap, works it to Sean Burgoyne. Great tackle coming from Thompson. They shut him down.
Turnover here.
Adelaide Crows go forward once more. Port Adelaide with some defending to do. Thurston's only got it as far as Tyson Edwards. Now coming across, excellent tackle from Surgeon, driving him into the ground. And a chance for Port Adelaide to clean up Pettigrew. Little undecided, sold his teammate into trouble. Nice hip and shoulder coming through there by Port Adelaide's Nathan Loney. And Paul Pleasure likewise supplying a strong hit on Brendan Lade. Loose ball, Sean Burgoyne got it away to White.
Immense.
Now Wilson. Crows continue to put the pressure, but not enough time for them. That is after the event, but the first half honours are definitely with the Adelaide Crows. They have a commanding 23-point advantage here as we go in to half-time, but a very entertaining affair, and Adelaide just a little better coached here in the first half, have been able to open up this advantage, Tony.
Well, 13 shots to 11, so Port Adelaide's had more shots. That last 10 seconds said it all. The pressure that Port Adelaide put on Port Adelaide was sensational.
5 straight goals for Adelaide in the second term, and they lead it handsomely. We'll be back after this.
Let's have a look at the Port Adelaide forward line. It's White, Ebert and Treadray in the forward 50 for Port Adelaide. They need to work that area a lot better.
School teacher Ray Chamberlain gets us underway here, term number 3. The Adelaide Crows with a 23-point lead. But Port Adelaide will get the first clearance as they work the ball to half forward. Damon White comes out to greet it under defensive pressure. And strong work being conducted there. As McLeod cleans up, works to the half-forward line, and hard running is rewarded for Nathan Bock.
They've gone with Logan now on Andrew McLeod, another young player that can run.
Bock drives the ball into Ian Perry direction, and he comes across to take a strong grab.
Well, they've been too good in the air, haven't they, in their forward line? And again, not a lot of pressure as Ian Perry plays on.
Has a loose man. Port Adelaide getting back, very importantly, to defuse the situation, just as Chris Knights was licking his lips.
Well, I'm with you, Liam Pickering. When you're a forward, you're paid to kick goals, and Ian Perry, left foot in, 35 metres out, just go back and kick the goal, or at least have a shot.
Hudson had multiple Port Adelaide players to contend with there, and the power bring it forward. Sean Burgoyne dances around an opponent, goes to Cassisi, who mishandled the ball under pressure from Welsh. Running out of room on that occasion, Port Adelaide, and the ball goes over the line.
Now, Andrew McLeod's had 1 possession already. If they don't go with Cassisi, what about Sean Burgoyne? I know you lose something in midfield, but he is a dangerous goal kicker, and it will make Andrew McLeod be very accountable. So they've got a number of options there. I think Mark Williams will just wait to see what happens in the first 10 minutes of this quarter.
Lade gets his hand to it once more for Port Adelaide. And Sean Burgoyne in the mix again, as invariably he is. Cassisi tucked onto the boundary line. Strong mark coming across from Jason Tawney.
You mentioned it just after half-time, as we see McLeod's down, which is not good for Adelaide fans.
They're off and running, getting to the 50-metre line. An opportunity here for Van Berlo. Had numbers outside him, elected to go a little deeper, and looming large. Scott Welsh takes a strong overhead mark.
Pettigrew reckons he was pushed, and that's the new rule. We'll have a look at it in replay in a moment. Scott Welsh He's played pretty well, hasn't he, Shorey? They've actually been a good combination with Ian Perry. Just Ian Perry's kicked a couple of goals. Welsh has been dangerous.
I don't think Mark Williams has got the matchups right in their defence the whole game.
Welsh comes in looking at his second goal. And from point-blank range, gave the umpire some work to do, but he extends the Crows' advantage.
Well, they've got Pettigrew. That was the match-up. As we see Andrew McLeod there, looks a bit sore. There might be one way to stop him. You get injured.
Either that or get him in the car park before the game. It's the other way.
That's a good strong mark by Welsh. Pettigrew. I think Pettigrew's the right matchup, Shorey, because he's got the height and he's certainly got the speed. The problem is at the moment, he's not getting a lot of help.
It's a hard matchup, Scott Welsh. Very hard matchup. Do it at ground level and also take marks like that.
Scott Welsh continues his good form against Port Adelaide. 17 goals in 11 games coming into this one. He gets the opening score of the second half. It's a 29-point lead in favour of the Adelaide Crows. Off and running again, Thompson. Unable to control it.
Yeah, good decision.
And a free kick going to the Adelaide Crows.
There's an old thing in football. They say get to the ball first, and that's what the Adelaide Crows are doing. It's quite simple, isn't it?
In the forward pocket, another opportunity for Nathan Bock. A little too tall for Michael Wilson.
Now, I'm not sure what happened then, but Wilson went to ground as the Adelaide Crows player there was looking to kick it inside the forward 50. Bock was smart enough to get away from him and create a little bit of space. Not sure why Wilson fell to ground just prior to that. But he's another one of these forwards, these mid-sized forwards or tallish forwards that can mark it and also working pretty hard.
And show a bit of arrogance by just shoving the person to the ground after you mark it.
Nathan Bock coming in, looking at his second goal of the afternoon and number 9 on the season, but that is off the mark, swinging away to the left-hand side. It's a minor score. But the Adelaide Crows now enjoy a game-high 30-point lead.
Having played here a number of times, they say that the pocket, in that right-hand pocket, is like the Bermuda Triangle at this ground. It is one of the hardest spots in AFL football to kick a goal.
Wakeland goes to Kane Corns and wants it back in the 1-2. Now he's got some problems. Shut down there by Scott Stevens. They've looked shaky coming off of their defensive 50, Port Adelaide, just trying to generate some run.
Well, that's what pressure does. You make bad decisions under pressure.
And a forward line that's not working, you just try and invent something.
Lade made room for himself, got the tap to Kane Corns. Cassisi to Sean Burgoyne over the top.
It's a great handball.
Now Peter Burgoyne off and running with 2 bounces. No one coming at him at the moment. Has an opportunity to find a target. Went in the direction of Brett Ebert. Set him a task, though. Wasn't good disposal, and the ball trickles over the line.
Probably could have gone to young Logan then. I mean, that's how you make Andrew McLeod a bit accountable. Andrew McLeod just realised that they weren't going to give it to his opponent, so he just went to the contest. But Logan was actually loose at half forward. Could have probably done with a handball over the top then.
Lade getting the better of it once more against Hudson, whose second effort is a good one, and he's earned a free kick. Plays on quickly. Tawney retreats to McLeod. Now working it further up the ground with a chain of hand passes. Now it's Thompson with it. With the left foot. Good work on that occasion from Stevens. As he holds off Toby Thurstons, and getting support here from Bernie Vince, the late inclusion after Matthew Bode withdrew from the team. Cassisi needs help. Kane Corns provides it. Now they've got some space to work into. And Loney accepts the handball. Going to be run down. Excellent work there from Scott Welsh. Turned the ball over to Bock. Adelaide looming. Ian Perry on a lead all alone. Grabs the mark. Is he going to take a shot, or will he try and hand off again?
Well, this is
he's wide open, and he's going to turn him down.
No, I reckon he's just thought, nah, it's my go now.
Yeah.
I've had a fair go. I've given a few off. Brought a few other blokes into the game. I'm going to go back and coolly slot this from about 50 metres. But
well done, Scotty Welsh there, Liam. Just the pressure of a person who you don't see that side of his game very often, but they are switched on, the Crows, especially their forward line.
Perry kicked the first goal of the game.
That's why he passes.
This one is off the money. And on 2 occasions when he was closer and in a better position, he passed. Then he had an open man, decided to go for the shot, and comes up with a minor score.
It's amazing. Liam and I were talking about it before the game. It's one area of the game, in the modern game, that players don't show a lot of confidence about wanting to kick a goal. I know, you know, the 15...
Scotty Lucas does.
Oh, well, Scotty, although he handballed 3 times last week, that was his yearly quota.
But he's a guy that does back himself to have
well, that's what you love to see. That's what you're getting paid for.
Nathan Loney looking for an option to Chad Corns. It's a dangerous pass. It's strong work from Chad Corns, who's been good this game so far. 13 possessions for him. He's going dangerously back to Michael Pettigrew, the true centre-half back position.
Nothing on.
They're just pushing the zone back all the way back through the midfield now. So you've got to spot up targets, but they're all standing still.
Pettigrew off and running, given some latitude. Now it opens up for him with a second pass. Ebert's available if he can get the distance right. Bassett comes back, diffuses the situation momentarily. Tawney in support to Bassett. Now they work it to Knights, who's been busy, but so's Michael Wilson. Thompson with his hands full. Joining in Bassett, and now it's Matner. Well, the Crows have numbers if they can work it out to the wall. Brett Ebert lays the tackle that goes unrewarded, and now they have an opportunity to break.
Have they ever?
Dowdy calling for it. Also
McLeod here
is Bernie Vince off and running.
Andrew McLeod in the corridor. Didn't use him.
Couldn't keep running too. Well done, Wakeland.
Good saving mark coming there from Darryl Wakeland with hands to Lade quickly, and now Warren Treadray, who has an acre to work into. He has players available. Damon White looming, and takes a strong mark with an opportunity to have a shot from 35 metres out.
Great kick by Warren Treadray. I mean, the most dangerous kick into the forward line is the player that's, you see here, he doesn't go back over the mark. He immediately plays on, trusts his left foot and kicks it into space. There's just no time for the defence to reset. And that's the best way. That's what Adelaide want. Adelaide want you to kick the ball over the man on the mark. Treadray was smart enough to just play on straight away.
3 goals against Fremantle in the opening round of the season. Damon White looking at his first here today for Port Adelaide, but never got it on target to the near side. And Port Adelaide now have 3 goals, 11 on their sheet.
We talked about, John, the game against Adelaide. Sorry, against Fremantle, I should say, in round 1. Damon White was one of the sparks in the 3rd quarter. He really had a big second half of the game. They need him to stand up. They need Treadray to stand up, but they also need to start getting some run through the midfield because they're just getting blanketed at the moment by the Crows.
Richard Douglas takes on Treadray, who got a piece off him. Advantage is played. Scott Thompson getting the assistance there from Knights. And now they go deep. Chad Corns in best position for Port Adelaide and takes a strong mark against Port Pleasure.
He reads the game so well, Chad Corns.
Michael Wilson has Surgeon available. Gets a kind bounce, and now he has plenty of room to operate in.
No one forward to kick to. 4 Crows players there. Got a handball through the congestion.
Kane Corns with a looping hand pass back to Surgeon. Now he's got multiple opponents. Salopek with his hands full as well. Tackle dragged to the ground by Chris Knights. Play on is the call, and the Crows have won it back. McLeod going short but dangerously so as Lade comes across, but that's a strong mark. And Adelaide with an opportunity. Burton presents himself at centre-half forward and wants to go on with it.
Lovely kick.
Excellent pass and a nice mark taken by Jason Portlecia.
Well, they just broke them apart. Port Adelaide, as I said, have to use handball to get through the congestion. 1 too many, the turnover. What's happened? All Port Adelaide's defenders have moved up the ground too. That just breaks them wide open. Their use of their skills by foot have been brilliant today, Adelaide. Look at that. That is a magnificent part. No fullback or no defender can stop that.
First game of the season for Jason Portlecia. He's kicked 10 goals in his 11 matches so far, so he knows how to find them. And from 40 metres out, never looked like missing as Jason Portlecia extends the Adelaide Crows lead out to a game-high 36.
Well, you're spot on, Shorey. And also during the call, John, if you get on your bike and you see Brett Burton here, they just want to run the ball. You get the ball quickly into your forward line, you've got half a chance. Very hard for defenders, as you say. Look, straight onto his bike, got moving. He basically kicked it to the space, and Portlecia was smart enough to get there. There wasn't anything real tricky in that. I mean, he just kicked it to a nice area in a dangerous position on the ground. And a nice finish by the young player. And this is getting a little bit out of control here for Port Adelaide.
Well, 9 of Adelaide's 10 goals have come from marks in their forward 50. 7 goal kickers, including Stevens, Perry and Welsh, who have 2 apiece. Ray Chamberlain does the honours. Michael Wilson working hard. Shut down there by Brent Riley. And a free kick is going here the way of Port Adelaide. Possession number 16 for Kane Corns, and only Sean Burgoyne with 17 has more for Port Adelaide as Roden with some space to work in. Looks to go short to Ebert in the pocket. Strong lead. Hands chopped away by Bassett. Dangerous work across the face of goal there. Josh Marnie unable to reel it in.
I think Port Adelaide have made a change. They pushed Corns forward. That's Chad Corns into the forward line. Not a bad move because they need someone else who can mark the ball to try and do that. They haven't had many marks in their forward 50 today.
Roden stole it from his opponent. Ebert didn't go the required 15, must play on, but Nathan Bassett wraps him up and has done an excellent job of that all game as Mark Williams and Peter Rhodes survey their options at the moment.
You can't see where this comeback's going to come from at the moment. Nothing happening anywhere on the ground, really.
Lade got a piece of it. Ebert couldn't reel it in. Now the Adelaide Crows relieve the pressure. Goodwin.
Look at the space they've got to work in here.
The cloud's on.
Bad handball. Getting ahead of himself there, Burton.
Pettigrew taking out a teammate. The Port Adelaide maintain possession. Here's Marnie looking for Chad Corns just outside the 50. Treadray leads.
I think he thinks there's a chance here.
Chad Corns is going deep to the goal square at the back. They have Brendan Lade coming up with a very important mark.
Well, just a couple of changes. Lade has had to do it by himself since Brogan hurt his ankle. And now, I don't know whether he's just pushed forward just as a ruckman. He's worked his way there, but Corns has gone to the forward line. Long kick. Puts the Adelaide defenders under a bit of pressure. All sitting ducks there. Brendan Lade, he just loves that sort of setup.
2 goals against Fremantle in round 1 for Brendan Lade from point blank range. He gets his first here against the Crows.
We need to find a little bit of belief here, Port Adelaide, and it may be that Brendan Lade does have to do that. As you say, he's rucking on his own at the moment. He's up against a very inexperienced player in young Griffin. Also Hudson, who's coming back from injury. But I don't mind the situation. If Corns goes forward, I actually like that move. He plays in the forward line very well. But they need to get it into him, and this has been the biggest problem. That's a good sign for Adelaide too. Young Griffin just not happy with having a mark taken on him. I'd like to see that in the big bloke.
I think you'd like to see that with any of your footballers. Angry about being beaten, or...
He's actually gone back into the midfield. Corns at the moment, Chad Corns, trying to give him a lift.
Well, they need him everywhere, and here he is getting involved. Ebert in the centre square as well. Goes with the right foot. Treadray out on a long lead. Can't get close enough to it. Excellent tackle from Port Adelaide.
Well, I'd rather... Mark Williams is probably thinking this way at the moment. Burton comes off the field for Bock. What a great interchange that is. But Mark Williams probably thinking the way we were on the scoreboard. It's getting out of hand. Just throw them around. Give someone else a bit more responsibility and try something different. There's a free kick, I think, to Port Adelaide's way.
Oh, it should be.
So another goal here, and you're just thinking, well, they should have blown us away, but they haven't.
Lade goes quickly from 75 to the hot spot. Big pack developing. Burgoyne couldn't drag it down. Here's Damon White with his hands full. And again, the Adelaide Crows relieve the pressure. McLeod. They'll bring it out to the wing, making yards here. Stevens did a good job to reel it in.
Can you tell me how McLeod could be free then if the ball went long into the forward line? Was he playing on his man or just reading the play brilliantly?
Well, I think he's the sort of player when he's in form, he'll get it again here.
Exactly.
When he's in form, he just reads the play so well.
Doesn't matter.
Tyson Edwards has numbers ahead of him. Not a terrific one. Giving Port Adelaide defenders a chance. Thurstons has had a horror day. Gets it only as far as Nathan Bock. And after almost 17 minutes of this third quarter, the Crows lead by 30 points. Rowan Smith boundary side.
Poor power when they're going forward. They've just got to go forward with a little bit more confidence. There's been a couple of examples this quarter early on, Peter Burgoyne and then Roden just before. When they've got the ball running inside 50, they've got to take their space and have a shot on goal.
50 here against Hudson.
Oh, you don't need... Look, again, they had a fairly good 5 minutes, Port Adelaide. Brendan Lade, he's trying to lift them by himself. Lone hand in the ruck, got the free kick, gets a 50-metre penalty. Now, you've got to move it quick.
Nathan Cracker is the target, but never got near it. Good defensive work again from Bassett. This is Doughty on the end of the handball. Chad Corns with a great smother, but it goes unrewarded as the Crows press again. And an opportunity at the back here for Nathan Bock. If he can scoop it up and get it onto his foot quickly, but he's missed. Well, let off for Port Adelaide. They've been very good in front of goal so far in this match. They were 8-3 at half-time, the Adelaide Crows. So they've kicked 2 goals, 3 since the major break.
There's a real let-off there for Port Adelaide. A real let-off. Let the ball get out the back at your own peril as a defender.
Kane Corns in the back pocket. Trying to work it to the wing where Ebert wrestling with Goodwin. Stays on with the job, but can't get the handball away before going over the line.
I tell you, Russell Ebert suits a lot of the defenders, and then we can see Wakeman going back.
But it's Thurston's. You mentioned Thurston's.
He doesn't suit playing key defence down there.
He only half committed to going for the spoil, and it got out the back, and his opponent was the bloke who ran onto it.
Cassisi, spoon-fed by Lade, goes to Sean Burgoyne, who's lost it in the contest there with Stevens, and an opportunity for Perry. Inside the centre square, looking for a marking option. Unable to grab the mark, Paul Pleasure. But here he is with a second effort tackled. Nice work on that occasion from Damon White. Port Adelaide's defence under all sorts of pressure at the moment. And Peter Burgoyne goes short. Loney looks into the centre of the ground. Josh Marnie.
This is better.
With support. Lay from right on the centre circle goes long. Jacob Surgeon takes a strong mark.
Well, they needed some luck, and it might have came from Nathan Bock, who missed that goal at the other end, giving them an opportunity. As I said, the last 5 minutes hasn't been bad, Port Adelaide.
Well, there's been one player who's been the catalyst, really. It's Brendan Lade.
Yeah,
he's been involved in everything.
Can't believe he didn't start in the first ruck today. Well, he's a superstar. He's an all-Australian ruckman, so you play your best players when the heat's on, I think, right in the middle.
Jacob Surgeon kicked a goal against Fremantle in round 1, and for the first time against the Crows today, the Power have back-to-back goals.
Really important when you're doing the work, and they're actually starting to get the ball back through the corridor with a bit of run, which they haven't been able to do. Adelaide just haven't allowed them to use the corridor, and they cleared from the fence here. Big Brendan Lade, not exactly a running player, but did it well, and it was a really good kick. He kicked into some space, could have picked either side. Surgeon got behind his opponent. And when you do all that work, you really need to finish off, and that was a really good finish by a young player. And you can see they're pretty pumped Port at the moment.
It was their second mark inside 50 for a goal. So when we talk about Adelaide, who has had, nearly 8 marks for goals inside 50, they've just turned around 2 goals from marks in this quarter.
Layden Hudson at it again. Goodwin trying to get involved. Loney in there as well. Lade thought he was pushed in the back. That goes unwhistled. Big crowd around the ball at the moment. And with 5.5 minutes left, term number 3, Port Adelaide trying to mount a challenge.
That man on screen, he's doing it all now. Look at that. He's the general out there. Get there. I'm going to palm the ball. I'm going to win this tap. Couldn't even run then. He's
Hudson
doing it all.
shut him down. Tyson Edwards couldn't get an effective disposal away, though, and now has to try and regather against Cassisi, and he's given away a free kick in the process.
Yeah, they should keep their forward line open here.
Cassisi.
Well done. There's a third mark.
That's Salopek.
They believe they're back in here, and they're all asking for a 50-metre penalty. Dominic Cassisi's had the job on Tyson Edwards, I think, for most of the day, and he's done a great job. Edwards has had 8 possessions.
Stephen Salopek celebrating his 50th AFL appearance. Try and drag Port Adelaide just a little bit closer. We go from just on the 50, likes it off the boot. Port Adelaide have kicked 3 goals without reply, and they are making a challenge.
Great finish by Salopek. Look, it's good coaching by Mark Williams too. He's just mixed it up. He's gone with a small forward line. He's thrown the players around. He's got his best blokes in the midfield. He's got Chad Corns in there. He's got Lade in the ruck doing it all himself. And look, I'll tell you what, they've given themselves a chance now. It's a pro-Port Adelaide crowd, so all of a sudden they're going to get involved in this game as well. They might have an impact as well. They've really lifted though.
Port Adelaide has kicked 3 goals in 8 minutes and are back to within 19 points. Little over 4 minutes left, term number 3. The eye of the tiger from Brendan Lay. This time it's to Hudson though. Chad Corns getting involved, taking the give and go with Logan. Now Nathan Cracker with an opportunity, gets an unkind bounce. Douglas retrieves the situation for the Crows, but he's coughed it up. And now it's Cracker, who has the ability to come up with something brilliant on this occasion. He's gone wide across the face of goal, and his teammates in the centre corridor weren't very happy as we go down to Rowan Smith.
Port have to really capitalise on their momentum now. The crowd is really getting behind them, and the major thing is with their direction of the play. They've been playing down the corridor now. They're getting shots on goal.
Chad Corns just having if you don't mind, a spell in defence after having a run on the ball. He's gone back to Scotty Welsh.
We're looking at Brendan Lade maybe having the rest of the last couple of minutes this quarter for a big onslaught in the last for Port Adelaide. I know it's hard. He's having a lot of the ball, but you've got to just look for the future.
Yeah, I know, Shory, but I just think when they've got this momentum, which they've got at the moment, one more goal here, and all of a sudden they've got some real belief, because 5 minutes ago, you couldn't see where they were going to get another 6 or 7 goals, which is basically what the lead got out to.
You might be right. With only a couple of minutes, you just had a look to see how many minutes left, 3 or 4 minutes left. Maybe just say, see it out, work it your own way.
Tawney carrying the ball, has Rutten available on centre wing. The fullback has made good ground here to provide an option for the Adelaide Crows. They try and stem the flow here. Port Adelaide having their best patch in the game.
They wouldn't be letting Riley run through.
Oh, that was way user.
Brent Riley centres the ball, but the pass is a poor one. Kane Corns
normally
came up with it.
You know what happened then? Riley was down on the boundary line and Wakeland was with him, and he just left him to go to his own man and didn't look behind where he had support, so Riley should have even got that kick. Normally does use the ball well, Liam. Yeah, they let you down.
Good work from Hudson, snatching it out of the air and pumping the Crows forward once more. Chad Corns doing the defensive duties. Burton, not a lot of desire, grabbing the ball there, just losing it. Corns takes one high and will get a free kick.
He's had a big quarter, Chad Corns. Really big quarter. He's up to 20 possessions now. Leading possession winner for the Power.
And only Andrew McLeod with 23 has more in the match. Surgeon trying to draw a player. Fends off Stevens. Hands over now looking for Logan. Needs to be quick with the left foot, goes forward. Nathan Cracker a chance.
Very clever. Very clever, Nathan Cracker. Just got behind his opponent. Just lost touch. He lost touch with Cracker, and the good, really smart forwards just know where to go. And he was able to just really find the space.
Now, this man, he set it up, though. Jacob Surgeon just running extra with the ball. It means they can't get back quick enough, can they? They're taking some risks, and it's their lesser-known players, I think, who have started to lift for them.
19-year-old Nathan Cracker, the youngest man in the game, has kicked goals in his first 2 AFL appearances. Can he make it 3 from 3? He certainly can. Port Adelaide have kicked 4 without reply, and it is game on.
Yeah, you're right, Shory. Young players just take risks, and Surgeon then could have just done the easy give-off. They really are looking to hunt through the midfield at the moment, through the centre corridor. That's a good kick, and an experienced defender in Bassett lost touch with Nathan Cracker. But these young players are really lifting. Corns has been super for the quarter, and Brendan Lade the ruck. We keep saying it, but this centre clearance is crucial in the context of this match, because another clearance and another scoring opportunity by Port, and look out.
4 goals in 13 minutes. Port Adelaide are back to within 13 points. This is as close as they have been since the opening quarter. Rucks go at it once more. And Port Adelaide get it out, but only as far as Doughty. Buy some breathing space for the Crows, and coming out on a long lead and taking a strong mark is Jason Paul-Pleasure.
Burton's on long.
Paul-Pleasure has men everywhere. And an opportunity now for Bernie Vince.
Well, this would hurt. As you said, that momentum just stops it before 3/4 time. Look, even if he kicks this goal, they are still in the game.
Oh, my word.
Because you know that they are a running machine. When they get going, they can score quickly. Kick 10 goals. Was it last week? 10 goals in a quarter. So you know they've got confidence they can do it.
Bernie Vince, who came into this team off the emergency bench when Matthew Bode withdrew prior to the game, has pushed it. And it's a minor score for the Adelaide Crows.
Well, that would have been handy for the Crows, just to, as you say, try and swing the momentum a little bit, because it's been all Port Adelaide. It really seems noticeable that the players are trying to look for the corridor a bit more. Maybe they're just working a bit harder and they're not allowing Adelaide to push the numbers back as quickly through the midfield as they have been able to in the first couple of quarters. But certainly Port Adelaide now, it's a matter of what they do now, Shorey. Do they just work the clock? There's only 47 seconds.
Yeah, work the clock.
All right,
do not give up a goal, but just keep possession. Get behind the play.
Michael Pettigrew invited to play on.
Oh, he's done it all.
Corns coming in over the back of Michael Wilson.
And he's hurt Wilson. He's put the knee right in the back of his teammate.
Not a lot of fun, is it, when your teammate comes and puts his knee right in your back? You can sort of put up with it if it's an opponent.
Treadray couldn't get near it. A strong mark taken by Ben Rutten, who's overshadowed the Port Adelaide captain in his comeback match.
You can see the runner out there motioning all the Port Adelaide players to get back, push behind the ball. They know that there's only a few seconds left. They don't want another scoring shot here from Adelaide.
Now, is that runner giving instructions just to individual players or the whole team?
The whole team, by the look of it, the way he was flailing his arms around.
Well, that is all for term number 3. A tremendous fight back by Port Adelaide, who outscored the Crows 4 goals 1 to 2 goals 4 in that term. And with 1 quarter to play, we have a 14-point ball game. And plenty riding on the final term.
I've got to say, John, it's changed. The trend has changed. They kicked 4 goals from marks when they'd only kicked 1 in the first half. So it has changed. This game is on.
Stay with us. The final quarter coming your way right after this.
Peter Burgoyne, Sean Burgoyne, Chad Corns and Brendan Lade in the centre square for the Port Power to start this last quarter.
Well, Port Adelaide came from behind at 3/4 time just once last season to win against the Bulldogs, the Western Bulldogs, in round 19. And the Adelaide Crows, well, they gave up a 3/4 time lead only twice last season, but it's Port Adelaide who rush into attack again. Treadray has taken the mark of the day. It's time to play on. Marnie dances around 2 defenders, works it with a left foot. It's close, but not close enough for the Port Adelaide team.
Chad Corns brilliant in that centre square. Enormous pressure on.
Let's have a look what happened here, where the umpire was holding the man to. Oh, that is a mark and a free kick.
Martin Matner brings Adelaide back out to the back pocket where Jason Tawney surveys his options.
Did you see that, Liam?
Well, I can't understand why it wasn't 1 a mark or 2 holding the man.
Yeah, exactly.
Tawney's got problems. He gets around Nathan Cracker, got a piece of the jumper, but not enough to reel him in. Chad Corns collides with Salopek, staying down. The Crows have numbers. This is Scott Thompson trying to draw a player.
Went too far.
Ran too far. As Darryl Wakeland takes a relieving mark. We'll bring the ball back to centre wing, where Salopek will get the free kick.
Go back to Nathan Bock missing that goal. Things have just changed. Bit of luck.
Chad Corns looking for Ebert, coming across. Josh Marnie gets there first. Nathan Cracker wants it quickly, all alone in the goal square. But Marnie turns him down.
Go back. They need a goal here. Treadray by himself. Lobbed it to the top of the square.
Treadray wrestling with Rutten, who again gets a fist on it. It's a minor score for Port Adelaide.
Wasn't a bad option in the end. He was out of range, Marnie, and he waited. They cleared it out and left it for a one-on-one with Treadray and Rutten. But Rutten did well. He got a fist in. That is a mark. That's a mark.
Oh, no doubt. Or a free kick.
The Crows off and running through Van Berlo. And now it's Stevens.
Welsh
making a move for him is Welsh to the forward pocket. Excellent work. Just shook Michael Pettigrew, got a yard and takes an easy mark.
I think if he kicks this goal, you will hear a number of boos around the ground thinking that they've been harshly done. I just cannot believe, really, when you talk about harshly done, that's the umpire's job. The ball never hit the ground, had to be a mark or had to be a free kick to Warren Treadray. That's why we've got 3 umpires, but it's at the other end of the ground, and Welsh has been a very good player and a hard match-up all day for Port Adelaide.
Goals in the second and third quarters already for Scott Welsh. Stuttering approach, but a convincing finish, and the Adelaide Crows buy some breathing space. They lead it by 18 points.
What you didn't see in that build-up of play was the team play by Ian Perry to create a bit of space for Scott Welsh. You wonder why he has so much space when he's in the forward line. You sort of think, well, his opponent must have been asleep. But what actually happened, he got a really good block from Ian Perry, which created a bit of space. It was a good kick. They'd worked the ball from one end to the other with precision kicking, but really important finish, especially, as you say, going into three-quarter time. There's a bit of momentum there with Port Adelaide. A very important way to start the last quarter.
Well, Scott Welsh has been Port Adelaide's nemesis in the past. He kicked 4 goals last week, and he's chimed in with 3 here. We've played a little over 3 minutes in the final term, and Port Adelaide looking to clear the ball from the centre, have numbers out on the wing. And this is Bentley going forward, looking for Treadray. Rutten over the back again with a defensive work and has multiple options inboard. Nathan Bassett, one of them. Burton all alone. Takes the mark on his chest. Perry wants the ball going in that direction. It was a good lead, but he spilt the mark. And an opportunity for Peter Burgoyne to Sean Burgoyne. Gets it off quickly to Kane Corns. Now back to Peter Burgoyne. Ebert wants it in the pocket. Burgoyne heads in that direction now, and Ebert just worked himself under the ball. Couldn't hold on to the mark, and with quick hands, Nathan Bassett released the pressure, working the ball out to Martin Matner for the Adelaide Crows, and now Perry's on again.
He has, Brett Ebert. Well, he's been their best player, Brett Ebert, unfortunately. Probably been their best forward the first 2 games, but he just hasn't quite got his hands, get the ball to stick into his hands today. He's got his hands to a lot of balls, hasn't quite been able to grab them. That would have been an important mark inside 50.
Lade and Hudson at it. Burton coming in over the back was the 3rd man, and it spills now to Scott Thompson, off and running to the goal square. Bock got a lead on Damon White. Ball landed at his feet though, and now it's Chad Corns. Cooley going dangerously to Michael Wilson, who got into the back of Perry, but did it intelligently. That's tremendous work from the vice-captain.
Keep running and draw a player.
Cracker will be on here in a sec.
Salopek has Kane Corns wider, elects to go to Cracker.
Yeah, good call there. Comes
out on the strong lead. Treadray and Ebert ahead of him. Cracker has Marnie available as well. A little undecided. Now he's looking for the captain. The pass is too long for Treadray, but joining in, Port Adelaide with an opportunity to Treadray, to Kane Corns. Retreating to Burgoyne. His pass is a poor one. Picked off by the Adelaide Crows.
They've had their opportunities, Port. First 5 minutes, and every time it pays the other end, they rebound so well, Adelaide.
Look at the numbers on the other side of the ground.
Brent Riley to Bock, who's stopped in front of Wakeland. And now Chad Corns is asked to clean up again. Only just got it beyond Ian Perry. Here's Salopek. Good skills to get away from Brent Riley. Pass for Marnie.
Has to be a mark or a free kick.
Wasn't strong enough. Good defensive work there from Matner. Now it's Tyson Edwards. Had Goodwin to his left, but elects to go longer. And Port Adelaide have the numbers here. It's Pettigrew.
Did well.
Well done.
Strong work in defence, finding Brendan Lade. Sean Burgoyne in support. And Douglas with a job to do. They go long, where Bassett comes in over the back of Brett Ebert, who really hasn't had good service all afternoon.
No, he hasn't had good service. As a matter of fact, I think Brett Ebert should become a decoy player. I know it's hard to say that. He's been beaten by Bassett in a number of one-on-ones. Whether the distribution's been pretty ordinary from these players upfield, but you just got to move him away and let maybe Treadray looks like he's getting back into the game. Corns has gone forward, so try someone else.
Lade wins the tap, but it's back with Nathan Bassett. Turns down Burton, goes a little longer to the wing. This is Nathan Loney working hard against Bernie Vince. Roden scoops up the crumbs. Port Adelaide with options. Marnie looks to go to Chad Corns, who takes the mark just outside 50. Ebert on a lead. No one in the goal square at the moment. Treadray just propped at the top of the goal square.
This is what happened to the Kangaroos last week. Port Adelaide made the Kangaroos shots in the last quarter all from around this mark, which is really difficult.
And Chad Corns goes long to the hot spot. Treadray was the target, but a strong mark has been taken by Ben Hudson.
Had to do better than that. With all that time, not to have something set up to get a kick to about 35 metres, and there's the numbers of the Adelaide Crows back, and Hudson a good mark.
Mitigating circumstances for Corns in the sense that there was no other Port player really presenting himself, and now the Crows are able to clear. The centre wing, it's a good mark taken by Portlesia, who's been busy. He's looking for Perry, who has to sit on Wakeland, used his body well, took a strong mark, plays on, and now he's got his hands full.
Left foot.
Around a couple of defenders, hooks it with the left foot, and Ian Perry gets the job done as he comes up with his third goal of the game.
Ian Perry, now that's what I reckon he needs to do. He's presented really well today, Ian Perry. His work rate's been good. His use of the body then was fantastic. Great snap. He doesn't seem confident in a set shot situation. Maybe he needs to play on a little bit more. Just get on his bike. He would have made this a bit harder than he probably would have liked, because he went onto his right, then back to his left, and it was a good finish. And the first 2 goals of the last quarter now, you'd think it's going to take a lot of work here for Port Adelaide to get back into this now.
I think Port's had a fair bit of the ball. They just have not been able to convert and get a clean disposal into their forward 50 to kick that all-important first goal. And every time they've done it and it rebounds, they've used the ball so well, Adelaide.
Perry kicked the first goal of the game, added another in term number 2. He gets Adelaide's second goal of the final quarter. Now they're back to a 24-point lead, and Port Adelaide have the job ahead of them. Pettigrew working hard without too much reward. And now a scrum of players, and coming in is umpire Sean Ryan.
Just think the way that the Adelaide Crows know how to get numbers behind the ball. That even at this early part in the last quarter, so hard to score against them. They'll just be pushing them back as the quarter goes on.
Kicking in danger has been called against the Adelaide Crows. Chad Corns will get the free kick.
It's a risky kick too.
Well, 10 minutes played here in the final quarter. They need to start taking some risks. They're down by 24 points. And Kane Corns works it over the top.
Got to run with the ball, draw someone over the top.
Salopek going short. He telegraphed it to Michael Wilson. Goodwin had an opportunity, just couldn't get there in time as Wilson bangs it long to Treadray, wrestling with Rutten.
Look at the numbers.
And that allows Douglas to take a relieving mark. Richard Douglas with numbers, working to the outer wing. Van Berlo did a great job to reel that in. It was a party trick. He goes in the direction of Scott Thompson.
He's had a good game too, Scotty Thompson.
Worked really hard, Scott Thompson.
Pass is a poor one intended for McLeod. Cassisi couldn't reel it in though. Ebert over the top gives away a free kick.
He might play on here, Andrew McLeod. Ebert's not manning the mark well. You do the old, I'm going to kick over the top and then play on and run around him.
Tyson Edwards goes with the left foot quickly, but it's indirect. Salopek strong at it, taking one for his corner as well. As the Crows through Portlesia try and find an opening. This is nice.
Great play.
He's shut down by David Roden.
There's a player who's playing for survival in league football, David Roden. Look at this. He couldn't get any better than this. Desperation. Still thinks he's in the game. Well done.
He's given him a lift too, the first 3 games, David Roden.
2 goals to 2 points in Adelaide's favour since the last break. More than 11 minutes played in this final term, and another free kick has been found. This time it's going Port Adelaide's way.
It's taken a lot out of both sides, this style of play. They really need to take some risks now. Quick handball over the top, run the lines.
Oh, good eye.
Lade thought he was infringed. Umpires didn't see it that way. Chad Corns cleans up. Goes to Treadray, this time in good position, but outnumbered by Bassett and Rutten with the support of Goodwin. Joining in Jason Tawney as well. The Crows have done this expertly all game.
Yeah, well, Nathan Bassett, he's had a sensational game also. Started the game on Lade, and then he went to Ebert and hasn't been beaten in a one-on-one.
Ben Hudson relieved to get that at the second opportunity. 16 hit-outs. And Lade with 19 leads that category in the game, but he's held his own and done a good job for the Crows as they work at the centre half back and find Ben Rutten. Matner at close quarters available, but he goes a little wider to Chris Knights. Coming up for possession number 19.
Well, they'll have to man up here, otherwise I'll just keep doing this, Adelaide.
Well, it's now incumbent on Port Adelaide to make things happen. They're down by 24 points. A little over 10 minutes remaining here in the showdown.
Again.
And Scott Thompson bobbled the mark. David Roden is there trying to relieve him of it. Thompson came back. Nice second effort. Van Berlo in two minds. Goes by foot. It was an excellent pass, and Jason Porplesia will get a chance to take a shot at goal from 35 metres.
Really good play again by the Crows. They just take their time and like just piece their way through it. We see Brett Ebert coming off. A little bit disappointing today, Brett Ebert. Just had the 6 possessions. They just worked the ball through the midfield. And basically today's game's been all about whoever's owned the corridor has basically been controlling the match. Port Adelaide had for a short time in the third quarter, but otherwise it's been Adelaide.
Jason Porplesia has hit the top of the goalpost. It's a minus score for the Adelaide Crows.
That would have probably sunk them, Shorey.
Yes.
It's only under 10 minutes to go.
It's a pretty important point, though, also.
Yeah, my word.
Nathan Loney getting distance with the drop punt. Wakeland shut down by Burton. Thurston's working hard. So too Kane Corns. Ball across the boundary line and will have a throw in.
Well, they've weathered the storm, haven't they, Adelaide? Third quarter, all Port Adelaide's, and they'd kicked the first 2. And as I said, Port Adelaide had their opportunities the first 5 minutes of this quarter. Every time just breaking down just inside their 50.
Lade with the tap. Goes straight to Brent Riley, though. No room for him to move in. And another stalemate.
A little spark here. Port Adelaide.
I'm thinking Burgoynes. Somewhere, Burgoynes.
It'll have to be someone with some run and leg speed at the moment, you think, because it's all Adelaide.
Going forward again. Wakeland comes out. Good body work. Presents an opportunity here for Bernie Vince, who throws it onto the boot quickly.
It's a throw.
Chad Corns will get possession.
Got a big game, Chad Corns.
29 disposals, the most in the game for Chad Corns as Port Adelaide go exploring on the outer wing. Michael Wilson trying to get it to Damon White, shut down by McLeod, but he's got 2 to beat here, and a throw has been called on McLeod. Takes down Marnie, but will reset here, and while they do that, we'll get down to Rowan Smith at the boundary line.
The work rate of the Adelaide Crows midfield has been sensational in this last quarter. One player in particular, Simon Goodwin, hasn't had a good game today, but his work rate in this last quarter to go down and help defence and then run the ball out, it's been outstanding.
Laid a strong mark ahead of Brent Riley, brings it in board where Dominic Cassisi has Marnie running for him. He goes short, finding the lead of Damon White, couldn't hold on to the mark though. Sean Burgoyne chases down Chris Knights.
Did I say Burgoynes?
Yes.
Well, he's done it the other way, not just through his offensive work, but great defensive tackle. Look at the speed, the catch-up speed here. And the thing is, he wants to do it.
Yep. Spot on.
Into the pocket.
And I'll tell you what, they're still just getting it to that 50-metre arc.
It's killed them there.
It just can't get it any further.
David Roden squeezes a pass out. And here's Peter Burgoyne losing it under pressure. Dowdy working hard. Sean Burgoyne taken down. Ray Chamberlain will come in with the bounce. More than 16 minutes played in the final term. Port Adelaide have added only 2 points in this quarter.
Just bigger bodies, Liam, over the whole day of Adelaide. Isn't it? The bigger bodies, they wear you down, they tie you out. That's why they're so hard to overcome when they get it, their neck in front.
Cassisi to Marnie. In a confined space, needs a mark. Chad Corns couldn't get there. Surgeon goes off the ground. He took an eternity to shape his kick, and that allowed Jason Tawney to come in and get a piece of the action. It's a minus score. McLeod has Burton available as the Crows stream out of their defensive 50. This is poor checking by Port Adelaide as Edwards marks uncontested. Another uncontested mark, this time from Brent Riley. Maybe the sting has gone out of the Port Adelaide fight back. Salopek working hard. Kane Corns looks inboard to Damon White, to Loney. Now Cassisi on the end of this. He has Chad Corns available.
Cracker.
And Cracker looming on the half-forward line. A well-weighted kick for Nathan Cracker. Can go back now and fire from just on the 50. Going to get on with the job quickly. Nathan Cracker to the goal square. Burton was there and happy to run it over is Jonathan Griffin in his 3rd game for the Adelaide Crows.
quite sure what Nathan Crecker was doing then, whether he just wanted to get it into the top of the goal scorer or was having a shot. Probably just outside his range, just outside 50. Oh, that's poor.
Poor restart.
Lucky.
Brent Riley will try and clean it up and does so for Martin Matner, and now they find Chris Knights. He's undecided as well, but again, Port Adelaide slow in manning up and allowing Adelaide to milk the clock here.
Scotty Welsh back on for the Crows.
Bassett goes to McLeod. Told to play on, not the required 15. McLeod shares it out wide.
Spasmodically, they just seem to be able. They're happy to, you know, to use, I suppose, a couple of minutes up. If it means just
they do it very well.
Well, trying to piece their way through the maze of players that are in the midfield, which is at the moment there's plenty. He can just overlap here. I'm sure that's a great option.
Brett Ebert landed in his lap but couldn't take it cleanly. Hand pass eluded Peter Burgoyne. Riley now with a better handball to get the Crows off and running. Stevens goes to Griffin.
The big fella.
He did well.
Ground level.
Tumbles one forward. Bock there working against Pettigrew. It's been a good contest all afternoon. Jason Tawney carried across the line, and we'll have a throw-in with 5.5 minutes remaining.
Gee, you can just see that the work that Neil Craig's done on Adelaide's style of play, very similar to Swans in that they play tempo football. They run forward hard, but then they can get numbers behind. They've got the three styles of play, and you have to coach that in the modern game now.
Opportunity stuck in the corner, but not without a chance. Scott Welsh, and he comes up with a goods, a miraculous goal, his second of the term.
Well, he just come back on the ground, Scotty Welsh.
He's been the thorn in the side, hasn't he?
He has.
All day.
Well, it's interesting to see what they do next week. They've got the Swans, Adelaide. It'll be a big test. We know the Swans are more than happy to play in a scrap, and this is what this has been today. They played this style against the Bulldogs, who are a running side. They played this style against Port Adelaide today, who are a running side. It's a running side, I should say. It's worked both times. It'll be really interesting to see how they play against a really tough, hard side like the Sydney Swans next week.
They've done it a certain way, John, because that was their first goal from a crumb. That is amazing. When you've talked about 13 goals, they've had one from a handball, one from a crumb, and 11 from marks, mostly inside 50.
And 4 goals for Scott Welsh in consecutive weeks for the Adelaide Crows, which is a good sign.
He's always been a good player, but he's had injuries at the wrong time. He's had some good 5 or 6 weeks and then had an injury for 6 or, especially hamstring injuries, about 4 or 5 weeks also. Never had a really, he's had probably one good full season.
Paul Pleasure getting into the action, trying to work the ball forward. Inconclusively, though, as Welsh comes out again.
Gets it beyond here.
Sorry, to McLeod.
McLeod again.
Taking it back from Perry. Now they work it to the pocket. Burton couldn't get on the end of it. And stretching out those troublesome hamstrings as he races it across the line. With less than 5 minutes to play, the Adelaide Crows have done a tremendous job here. Remembering Port Adelaide kicked 19 goals against Fremantle, 17 against the Kangaroos. At the moment, they're looking as though they're going to have their second goalless quarter of this game. Griffin takes on Lade, who'd palmed it to Kane Corns. Now Sean Burgoyne. Still working hard, going to Cassisi and getting it back. Now he needs an option, but there's not a lot on offer ahead of him. Has to slow it down and wait for Greg Bentley to get involved. He goes backwards. And here's Toby Thurstons. 9th possession for Thurstons. He's had a forgettable day as Lade brings them out wide and works it to Darryl Wakeland.
This is breakdown time. This is where it breaks down. The Adelaide Crows are just picking the players that want to man up and playing off the others to help their teammates and fill space.
Wakeland to Chad Corns.
Oh, well done. Controlled
it beautifully. The pass for Ebert is a little too deep and worked to the advantage of Nathan Bassett, who's been impressive for the Crows.
That's been a good matchup.
Well on top, Nathan Bassett today. Ebert has been a very good player the first 2 weeks. He's had his colours lowered today.
And this man's been the architect.
Yeah, well, I was going to ask you, sure, if you're giving the best on the ground at the moment, would it be McLeod or Chad Corns? They're the 2 standout players for mine.
Yes, winning side. I would think that the first half he set it up, Andrew McLeod. Chad Corns had a sensational 3rd quarter, but I think McLeod's had an impact. They haven't had anybody who could play on McLeod and negate him.
This kid looks all right. He moves all right, Griffin.
Jonathan Griffin.
Still growing too, I think.
East Fremantle launches the Adelaide Crows to the forward pocket with a Birdman. Climbs over the back, can't reel it in. Well, that would have been the icing on the cake for the Adelaide Crows. But instead it's a free kick for Port Adelaide, and Thurston's with it now. Looks for Surgeon. It was a nice pass. It needed to be accurate, and it was. Damon White comes to the ball. Surgeon obliges. Ebert up on the half-forward line. But Damon White goes a little longer, trying to get Treadray involved. Hasn't had a lot of influence on the match in his comeback game, Warren Treadray. Kicked 1 goal in the second quarter, but it's been lean pickings for the captain apart from that. And Chris Knights has had a tremendous last quarter. Over the top with his problems now is Douglas, but works it onwards. Nice skills from Scott Stevens, who's taken down having the kick, and that is a relayed free that will go to the advantage of Nathan Bock.
I think they found out a few things also, Port Adelaide. One, Toby Thurston, if he's going to play in defence, he has to get a genuine matchup that suits him. And I would think a lumbering ruckman. And I don't know how many times that happens in the game. You know, some of the youngsters I think have shown a little bit today, especially that third quarter. They'll keep learning from that. And their forward setup, it has just been non-existent. The work between each other and the communication and understanding has not been there.
Nathan Bock, who kicked a goal from a mark in the second quarter, has come up with a poster as well, the second in this final term for the Crows.
Well, he's worked well, Shorey, you're right. He's worked well. Bock, Perry and Stevens have all worked really well today. They've been rotating. They've rotated their matchups throughout the course of the afternoon. They've been very good forwards. The other end, there hasn't really been a setup for Port Adelaide at all today.
Loney. Well, creating problems for his teammate Tom Logan there, and he was good enough to get out of it. Now they go to the centre wing, and Damon White takes a strong mark. Wants his forwards to come up and greet the ball. Not a lot on offer. He goes in the Treadray direction. Ben Rutten wrestling with the Port captain again. Ball is loose. Crows trying to clean it up. David Roden to Marnie. Dangerous in this situation. Swings it around the body with the left foot. And into the point post. We'll have a boundary throw in. A little over 60 seconds to play here in Showdown 22.
Damon White, he's got most of his possessions outside 50. They'd like him to stay at home a little bit more, see if he can play out of the square. He's not that quick, but just a big body.
Oh, Lane well takes it out of the air, throws it onto the left boot, and adds some respectability to the Port Adelaide scoreboard. Their first goal in this final term.
You couldn't be critical of Brendan Lade today.
No.
He's really worked hard. I mean, he's up against a young player and a player coming back from an injury, which I mentioned earlier. But his game's been pretty good. He's had 15 possessions. He's taken a number of marks. He's dominated at the hitouts. This is just a really good goal. Bit of experience. Worked his young opponent, who's like a beanpole. Looks like a big ruler. He worked him under the ball. And he'll get better with experience too, young Griffin. But he's been good, Brendan Lade, this afternoon.
The reigning best and fairest, Brendan Lade, becomes Port Adelaide's first multiple goal kicker here against the Crows. Final 60 seconds. Roden out of the centre again with a spiral. Damon White direction, but a strong mark has been taken there by Tyson Edwards. Running for him, Andrew McLeod, possession number 30. Only Chad Corns with 31 has more. And this is poor checking from Port Adelaide as they allow Griffin to take an uncontested mark. He's off and running with a left foot in the Perry direction. Multiple defenders against him. Opportunity now for Chris Knights. Right on the boundary line, shrugs a tackle, works it around the corner. Can't get enough on the kick to advantage Nathan Bock, and it's over the line with 20 seconds to play.
We go back to the centre bounce. The kick went forward for Port Adelaide, and Tyson Edwards sits under the ball and marks the ball. Where is his opponent? You just got to wonder, because there was no loose man in the back for Adelaide. This has happened all day. They just know when to drop off Adelaide and done it very well.
Well, the corresponding match last season, Adelaide won by 50 points. Doughty, Henschel and Thompson kicked 3 goals apiece.
Well, they've only kept them to 8 today. Is a good effort by Adelaide. They've really worked well.
Corns will relieve some pressure. This is all academic at the moment. Because despite a brave fight back from Port Adelaide in the third quarter, the Adelaide Crows have got the job done and take showdown 22 in emphatic fashion. The final margin is 24 points.
Great team effort by the Adelaide Crows today. They came with a job. They want to pretty much repeat what they did last week against the Western Bulldogs. Shut down the run from Port Adelaide. They did it from the word go, Shorian. And look, it was some of the lesser lights as well that were really good this afternoon. Did some important jobs for the team. Their defence was great. They didn't allow Port Adelaide to have any system at all in the forward line. They shut down their key playmaker in Brett Ebert today. Treadway came back from injuries. I thought he worked pretty hard, but he was beaten today. And their midfield, really, apart from when they threw Chad Corns in there, the Burgoyne boys were okay. They didn't really get a lot out of the midfield.
No, look, you give credit. I give credit to Neil Craig. I thought his matchups, especially his defensive matchups, were just brilliant today. You know, you're talking about Rutten, who's an All-Australian fullback, Bassett, who's an All-Australian back pocket player, and he did the job also. But I just say they're bigger bodies. You can have a look at them out in the ground, and they look stronger, they look bigger. Maybe their speed was going to be an issue in the game, but when you pressure like they did and win the contest, speed doesn't come in because you haven't got the ball.
Well, let's go down to Rowan Smith. He's with Ian Perry, who kicked 3 for the winners.
And another great win today. It was important to back up from last week's effort as well.
Yeah, we knew we had to come out with the same intensity as we finished off with last week. We knew we'd take it to these guys who are really informed, so we're pretty happy with the win.
The delivery into the forward line is sensational at the moment. The forward line seems really open.
Yeah, we've been working on a few things over the pre-season and just to get a bit more flow through the forward line, and the backs are doing a fantastic job at running it out and hitting it, so it's great.
The way the boys rotate through the forward line with talls and smalls is really working for you at the moment.
Yeah, we try not to have, I mean, it's not obvious that we don't have a star forward, so we try to make everyone a real option down there, and that's something else we've worked on to make everyone a goal-scoring option.
Go and enjoy the win, mate.
Thanks, Sean. Cheers.
Ian Perry, one of the stars today, with 3 goals, 1. Welsh finishes with 4 goals, 2. And let's remind ourselves that the Crows are doing this without 25% of their list. They've got some big names out at the moment. Rashudio, Henschel, Biglands, of course, won't be back. McGregor, John Cocken, Shirley not available today. That's a tremendous effort from the Crows. And Bode, who was a late withdrawal as well. They have dominated their crosstown rivals, and this is a rich victory for them, Tony.
It was brilliant. I hadn't forgot Rashudo, and Biglands, of course, won't play. Henschel's out for the season. But some of those other names that you mentioned would get into any other club in the competition. So they've got depth and they've got experience. They have got some problems in certain areas, and maybe you look at the senior ruck area, that's the one area. But, you know, they got around it today just because of their work ethic, especially at ground level.
Well, the Crows have come up with the goods again. They get the trophy, and Andrew McLeod, who has played in 21 of the 22 showdowns between these teams, is the best player on the ground as well, with 30 possessions, as his team gets home by 24 points. And we'll be back with more for you from Amy right after this, as Adelaide take their record to 2-1 on the season, and Port Adelaide suffer their first defeat of 2007.